your god now.
I worked last night. I had taken a nap and got up like, I don't even know. The nap ended at like 9 or 10 or 11 p.m. So basically, when I got up, I worked all the way up into the afternoon because I'd already taken a nap. I'd already gone to sleep. Well, that looks horrible. It's just white, right? Let me fix this. Oh, dude, I need it to be. Oh, I know how to do it. Just close that and open it this way. Bam, now I got my live chat back. So anyway, I worked all the way up until, oh, perfect. I worked all the way up until the wee hours of the day. And then I took another nap and I got up like a while back. So, you know, I'm going to be going back to bed after this stream because I have to be up around 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning tomorrow. But I'd love to play some video games. And just chill with you guys. So, you know, it'd be the perfect thing to do. By the way, I'm taking down this green screen. I just can't take this damn green screen anymore, guys. I'm taking it down soon. Anyway, to get on track here. So what I figured we'd do tonight is look at new things from their secret little troll group, talk about the other things that they've been doing, and just get a video out there on the internet to show this, and also to show you new things. Like like that other night when I did that banger bomb live stream, that Moab of live stream that exposed that Steve Mcrae is still attacking Katie, her kid, after he celebrates getting back non-sec and lies to his audience and all that. Well, you have to see this because I'm telling you, there is not a single bit of a doubt that these guys are targeted harassment towards Katie and Katie's son, and I can prove that with their own posts. It is 100% now that they're not going to stop and that they've been doing this for how long? 9 months? 10 months? That's almost a year, okay? If anybody thought this shit was going to stop when he got some wins against Kyle Curtis, you were wrong. Okay, so there's nothing that's going to stop this. And we need to organize a Twitter campaign to tag Team YouTube for an investigation. And if they're not doing anything wrong, Team YouTube isn't going to, then they won't be scared of Team YouTube looking into this. I want this channel, me, Katie, Joy, Without a Crystal Ball, every other creator that believes that Steve Mcrae, through these groups that he's in and his behavior and how he directs people to do things and how he acts, If you truly believe it's that they are harassing people with targeted harassment, with trying to bully people off of Twitter and strike people off of Twitter, strike people off of YouTube, and strike people off of Discord, if you think they're doing these things, then we need to act on it instead of sitting around and letting them continue this out forever. They need to be turned into the authorities and to the platforms for what they're doing. This is targeted harassment. There was a question whether it was targeted harassment back in damn November, okay? We are in February, right? They have promised that they were going to stop, and then the only reason that they are publicly even acting like they're still criticizing for good reasons Katie Joy now is because we were in their secret little troll group, and when it got so bad in there with the shit that they were doing, I had to expose them for what they were doing. Now they're just going full fucking shitstorm on this. It is literally, in my opinion, there's no way that if you sat down with me, so let's just say you're another creator out there who's like caught up in this community, and you came to me and said, okay, Uni, I don't want to hear your opinion at all. I just want to see your evidence. There is zero chance you would walk away without 100% believing that they are engaging in targeted harassment, bullying, and cyber stalking. There's no way you would, if you have a definition for these words, no matter how conservative your definition is, I can prove to you that they're doing this. I did it in my last stream on Unirock 2, and I'm about to show you even more stuff that's happened since then, and some of the stuff that happened that I didn't show you there. We need to get these platforms investigating. Investigating does not mean censorship. We aren't going to mass flag like they are. Anti-Ordinary's Discord server that's gone now. What other ones? Anti-Ordinary's Twitter account is gone now. Okay? They can call Anti-Ordinary horrible transphobic names. Literally. They're literally transphobic names by definition of the damn word. And homophobic names, while at the same time filing mass reports on Anti-Ordinary for using the word fat in reference to someone else. That literally just happened, and her account's now gone. Her Discord's now gone. Then I look and I see that Katie has been sent more stuff from the group involving her son. Tina, I'll cut you, is not a girl, just so you know. These are grown men who have something for or against Katie Joy and are harassing her. Put your mother, wife, daughter, someone close to you in Katie's shoes. And then ask yourself, is this shit okay? So let's get into what it is. Let's take a look at what they're doing. Because they say that they're not doing anything wrong. They say that they're not doing anything wrong, that being in this closed group. Oh, by the way, remember how they said, we will even allow for Katie's own fans to join this group and see what we do here. Take a look at what they did. They've been kicking anyone that doesn't troll them, that doesn't do anything wrong, that tells them they shouldn't be bringing kids into it. They've kicked several people out of the group because they criticized them talking about 7-year-old boys with brain damage and brain surgeries. So let's take a look at what we've got. Kathy says, Tina, 100, when Katie says her son had a poopy, sorry, TMI. That is no comparison to the people Katie are talking about. Are you for real? Come on, Tina. The woman she is talking about just got her children taken away because she was drugging them to a state of not being conscious on a daily basis and posting videos daily about it on YouTube. Katie's not perfect. No one is. Katie's made mistakes. We all have. But to go to the point of running a hate page to try ruining someone's life is sad. Really, really sad. I am leaving this group. If you people think this is normal to act like this, there is no getting through. And you guys say that this is not a hate page. So make it public since you all think this is okay. Listen to what the response is to that. For one, that person did nothing wrong that they should get kicked out for. So here's the response. In this comment, you do realize not everyone on social media is in the same time zone, correct? Or maybe someone's at church on a Sunday or work, asleep, or dealing with their life. Are you kidding me? Why don't you give Katie that excuse? And why don't you ever act that way when it's not in your favor? Or maybe someone's at church. The fact that you got aggressive in this way says a lot about you. No, it doesn't. This isn't aggressive. Literally, this is a person who is appalled by the behavior in the group, just like I was, just like every other human being that's seen this group has been appalled at the behavior in the group, right? It's not a criticism group. It's not allowing any other side to be represented. It's not allowing anything to be represented other than hatred towards a specific individual and incitements to cyberstalking and harassing and inciting people to go to collaborations and to try to bully the collaborators. Oh shit, I need to share this on Unirock too. Hold on, let me shoot this over to Unirock 2 real quick. On my community tab. All right, we are good. Now, this type of, okay, the fact that you got aggressive in this way says a lot about you. This is the type of bullying Katie is known for. Hey, Tina, where's your evidence? Where's your evidence that this is bullying? Where's your evidence that Katie's known for bullying like this? Do you see what these people are? If their definition of bullying is that paragraph, then they don't know what bullying or cyberstalking is. That's why they think they're not doing it. They have no clue what cyberstalking and bullying is. This is an administrator of the group. This is a goddamn administrator, you guys. Hold on, let me change. I know people have been complaining about that background. It's a little too much. Let me give you this background, at least till I fix it up. Much better. Yeah, right? Where do I like it at? Right here, right? Right there, yeah. So, oh, do we have my chat right here? If your chat's over here, I'll put it on the screen, y'all. I don't have it over here. I'll get it here. Anyway, though, then at the bottom on the page, we back up what we're saying with proof and evidence. I need to see the proof of your claims. Then they kick her out for not showing proof of her claims. So we have now, we're going to go back and read this again to see if maybe we took it the wrong way the first time. But this is it, dude. This is the definition of a cyberstalking group, of a troll group, of a hate group, of a, you know, this is the definition of a bunch of stinky, nasty, drunk, old men who hate their own lives, who disguise themselves as women, who disguise themselves as alternate personalities, joining a group. You already know that there are Look a Pig and AT2 and all these fools are in this group too, disguised as females, because that's what they do, by the way. And they're all disgusting, nasty, drunk, ugly, unhappy in their own lives. And so they are picking on women that they wish they could have. True, this is truth. They are picking on women that they wish they could have and criticizing them to a standard that is unbelievably, it's just too much of a standard. It's no standard for intellectual thought. It's not a standard for criticizing YouTube. It's not a standard for any other normal thing why you would have a group, a video, whatever, to criticize somebody with. For one, I don't see why you'd even have a group to criticize somebody with. Why not just make a video and move on down the line? Because you're obsessed. Because you are literally you're criminally obsessed at this point. But let's read this one more time. When Katie says her son had a poopy, sorry, TMI. That's what moms do. It's her decision whether she says it. If you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. There's other creators to watch. You don't stalk people and harass them. That's no comparison to the people Katie are talking about. Are you for real? Come on, Tina. The woman she is talking about just got her children taken away because she was drugging them to a state of not even being conscious on a daily basis and posting videos daily about it on YouTube. Katie's not perfect. No one is. Katie's made mistakes. We all have. But to go to the point of running a hate page to try and ruin someone's life is sad. Literally, you cannot deny that this is a hate page. You saw this moderator calling Katie a dirty cunt. Sorry to use those words. I never do, but that's what she said. I showed you the screenshot in my last live stream on Unirock 2, calling her a literal post in the group by an admin saying, I'm sorry, but Katie's just a dirty cunt. There were worse posts, by the way. There were worse posts in that group, by the way. That's not criticism. That's insulting them. And then the rest of the people in the group, not a single person said, don't talk like that about somebody else. I thought you were criticizing her. You're literally bullying her. That post is bullying her, okay? And you want to tell me that your group isn't a hate group. It's not a bully group. But here's the worst part. I am leaving the group. If you people think this is normal to act like there is no getting through, and you guys say this is not a hate page, make it public since you think it's okay. My point is, look at the way that the admins react to a person having an issue. Is there a conversation? Do they want a conversation? No. They are using a predetermined Steve Mcrae defense tactic. Ask them for evidence if they don't. And then when whatever they give you, make sure you find something wrong with it and then kick them out, which is what they've done to anyone that has an issue with what they do in this group. By the way, since I've exposed this group the way I have, they've just moved some of the more harsher things they say about Katie onto private groups. We're in the process of getting screenshots of those groups too. Keep your eyes open. But what else is being said there? Well, let's take a look because I haven't even looked at it. So, Anna Marie, not a problem. She literally said they looked malnourished. When is she going to stop? It's been going on for years. Did you see the interview from a woman that was in a private group with KJ 7 years ago? KJ talked about other children and was given money and gifts. I don't know if I'm allowed to post links here. Yes, I did, and that's why I'm here. It is my stake with her. You can't fight fire with fire. Children are off limits. Good point. I don't even know what their goal is. They don't even have a goal in this group. No one knows what this group is for other than what you look at it and see. What do you see when you look at it? Targeted harassment. Constant, unadulterated, targeted harassment, turning everything that's said and done into negative things and then using it as a weapon to try to instigate people to go out and fight a social justice, social media battle for Steve Mcrae. He is the thing that is at the backbone of this. When Steve said that it's an existential threat that I have to fight Katie Joy, what people should be saying is that people need to get YouTube to investigate Steve Mcrae because he is a cyber stalker and bullier with literally thousands of screenshots of evidence. Thousands of instances. Hundreds of hours on YouTube doing nothing but harassing and cyber stalking with no apparent rhyme or reason. A 60-year-old boomer obsessed with a younger woman who he most likely fantasizes about day and night. We already know he fantasizes about her day and night. He fantasizes that she'll lose her YouTube channel, that she won't make money off of YouTube, that she won't be successful. He has to try to enact those fantasies by going to the places where she has interviews and instigating their troll groups to go spam the comments section of those YouTube channels, just like I showed you in my last Unirock 2 video. So Steve jumps in. She has showed videos of her child. That's his intellectual rebuttal. Hey, she showed videos of her child. Parents are allowed to show video of their child, Steve. You are not. It's creepy for you to talk about her kids like you do. Beyond creepy. Beyond boomy. Beyond anything normal. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. Steve Mcrae is the type of person that wants to talk about other people's kids like he is the parent of those kids. That's a factual statement. Nothing about this has to do with her child. Why aren't you standing up and see, like, you know what he's doing here? He's arguing against this statement. He has tagged this person. Look at this statement. Yes, I did. That's why I'm here. It's my stake with her. You can't fight fire with fire. Children are off limits. Does Steve agree? Does Steve agree that children are off limits? Does Steve say, of course children are off limits. We can't blame innocent kids because we get angry at their mom or dad. Well, let's see what he says as opposed to saying the logical thing, the good thing to say there. She has showed videos of her child. Nothing about this has to do with her child, but her lies and constant contradictions. You can take the child out and just say person A. He's trying to assign a letter to her child so he can keep talking about her child. He doesn't agree that the child are off limits. He wants to make the child anonymous. Person A. Now you know why person X and person Y. Now you know where that all came from. The mind of a sick, obsessed boomer. You want to see a child used as a weapon? Look, her bullies telling me they wish my daughter would be ARD. This is not Katie. This is a... What kind of argument is this? I would say it's a non sequitur, but it's worse than that. It's a straw man. No, not even that. You can't prove that Katie had anything to do with somebody coming into your stream with that name of an account. And most likely it was you. Because this shit started happening once you guys got accused of this kind of stuff. That's when you start being bullied. That's when you start being threatened of doxings. All the things you do to other people, you started to say were happening to you when a video came out proving that you dox, proving that you harass based on people's locations, proving that you're okay with it. Then all of a sudden, you and your other friends that hang out with you and help you do this hate campaign against Katie is the thing that binds you all together. That's the truth. You got me? We know that's the case. They've admitted it. It's proven. It's out there. And he's blaming anonymous hate he's getting on Katie so he can talk about her kid. He's basically saying this, and it's a horrible argument no matter how you slice it. Well, Katie uses her child as a weapon. Her bullies telling me they wish my daughter would be ARD. That didn't happen, by the way. A person named an account. Steve Mcrae's daughter's blank. Ist. So then he still goes around saying, people are telling me my daughter should be blanked. He should describe it correctly. He doesn't because he wants it. People would be like, that's just a troll, dude. That's not somebody threatening you or telling it to you. That was a troll in a live chat that named their account something dumb. No, he wants to literally pin it to Katie and then go on a freaking drunk-fueled, Adderall-fueled hippie quest. I don't know, boomy quest. Or using her manipulated image on fake Twitter accounts. God knows what that means. I don't even know. He's lost his mind at this point. She says, fuck all about those things, nor do the trolls that encourage it. The only trolls are in this group. Everybody out there, from Demi to me to Brody to the others, are criticizing you with YouTube videos. Moving on to doing other things and then being forced to cover this stuff again when this shit gets sent in to us. You are the trolls. You are the ones that are still going at Katie behind the scenes instead of making a video and then moving on. Make a video. Get everything out about Katie. I offered this guy a debate. He could debate me, right? He won't because he knows I have evidence that literally proves every word that I'm saying. Whereas every claim he makes, he never shows any evidence for, like this claim that it was Katie's people that came in and said this to him. You need to be able to prove that before you make a positive claim of it. This is the problem. He knows he'll get criticized for making positive claims out in open social media. So now he's moved making his positive claims into private groups. No one has ever attacked her child. You are lying. I have screenshots of you attacking her child for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours throughout a day, attacking her child. It was the thing that I criticized you for in my video. I'm going to attack Steve. Just kidding. Going to criticize him. That was the reason I did that video, because you were attacking her little boy. An innocent little boy whose medical problems are worse than anything you've ever gone through in your life, Mcrae. And how do we know that? Because you've told your whole life story. You talk about yourself so much. We know every bad thing that's happened to you so that you could virtue signal out for subscribers and dono points. And you have gone through shit all compared to a 7-year-old with 3 brain surgeries. I wouldn't even bring up the other injuries to the poor boy. And you have no sympathy except for yourself. You are those sick, sick men that walk around in someone's town talking about other people's kids nonstop. You ever met someone like that? Because it's really sick. You ever seen anybody like that in your hometown? These sick, sick older men that do nothing but talk about other people's kids and bring them into everything they can and act all fucking creepy around them. That is this behavior. Do I need to pull it, Mcrae? Because you wouldn't say this publicly on Twitter, because you'd get people replying with the images of what you said. So you go to these private groups where you can cultivate this shit, and you private your Twitter account. You private your freaking accounts because you don't want people to see the evidence against you. This is a way of you dodging as much criticism as possible. Saying that I turn on member-only chat, you accuse me of dodging criticism. How the hell can you do this then? This is worse than turning on member-only chat. This account's tweets are protected. Only confirmed followers have access to Steve Mcrae, cult engineer. If you think no one has ever attacked her child, if you think so, you're severely mistaken. Okay, that's it. I need, in the current live stream room, the examples of him attacking Katie's kid. Just a couple of them. You don't have to go deep. Can someone hook me up with that, please? Anyone in the chat, please hook me up. Any of my people in my Discord, go into the current live stream room, and at the very bottom, just give me a couple of the worst examples of him attacking Katie's son, because he did it, and I've got the evidence. Drop it in there for me. If you think so, you're severely mistaken. Her lies about anybody, which keep changing, are we discuss and are fair to discuss. No, you're not. Not if it deals with her son. Her son shouldn't even be coming out of your mouth. You don't know her. She doesn't like you. She doesn't fucking want you to talk about her. If you were just criticizing her, nobody would give a fuck, but you're not. You've hidden. You have retreated. You are retreating into private Twitters and private Facebook groups so that you can say the most horrible bullshit lies and never get called out by the people around you. That's why you blocked me. You blocked me because I called you out specifically for railing against Katie's son all day on Twitter. All day. This is disgusting. You need to be reported to YouTube. We are going to finally take those steps. And we've given this idiot time to go around doxing, time to go around harassing, he will not stop attacking little kids. He's getting his ass reported to YouTube finally. Every creator that believes that it's wrong for people like Steve Mcrae to continually bring up anyone else's kid for a fucking YouTube beef, you need to tag Team YouTube at Team YouTube with a link to Steve Mcrae's channel and let them know they need to investigate it. This needs to finally happen. You need to email Patreon and go under his account and report his account to Patreon. And type a paragraph of why. Just tell him how you feel. I'm not saying he needs to be censored. I'm saying that these platforms need to finally look into his behavior. He saw the response of even his own community was massive when he was continually bringing up other people's kids. Massive. From his own audience, they stood up against him. His own audience won't stand up against him for shit, but they stood up against him for that. Right? You remember this. It was in my videos. And he's still willing to do it behind his protected, closed doors where he has set his perfect little look-a-pigs and AT2s to man the sock accounts like Tina Alcutcha and others. Her lies about anyone, which keep changing, are we discuss and are fair to discuss. You are rationalizing, continually bringing up her kid. Rationalizing it. You could attack Katie for all these things that you've attacked her for. Many of them proven, debunked lies. You could attack her for any of those because you just repeat and rinse and repeat this shit for a year now. A fucking year now. So you could have picked any of those things that you rail against her for. But instead, what do? Instead, what do? You attack her kid because you want me to talk about it. You know, in my Discord server, I said, I'm not going to be making videos against you other than maybe updates every once in a while. Unless you do really fucked up things like, what was my example? Attack people's kids. Katie's kid. It is disgusting. Rationalizing. And then, look, one more time, just so everybody's here gets it. His response. What is he responding to? It is right here. It's my stake with her. You can't fight fire with fire. Children are off limits. That is his response to someone saying, children are off limits no matter what your rationalization is. Children are off limits. This is Steve's response to that. He is deranged. He has lost his mind. He is doing nothing but feeding his brain. He cannot get rid of the headaches every day and his shakes when he wakes up, just pouring alcohol down his Grinch gullet until he can keep his fingers, steady enough to get on social media, drunk as fuck, and rail against other people's wives and kids all day, night long. Other than the very, very short period of time, he regurgitates some tired-ass thing onto his YouTube channel so that he can meet the satisfaction of actually giving a tiny bit of content out there. This is where all of his time goes. How do you know? Because you can just go look. He's always typing. He's always on here. He's always on social media. He might be on YouTube for an hour, half an hour, hour and a half, and then he's back onto social media all day and all night. I don't think he sees anybody in real life. How could he have time? I don't think he spends time with anyone else. I don't think he goes out. I don't think he goes and does things. I mean, how could he? Unless he takes public transportation or gets a ride somewhere while he's sitting on his phone on social media the whole time. Going up and down the grocery aisle on social media the whole time. This is a sick obsession. That is what has led him to be this way. It is his narcissistic personality. He is a terrible narcissist combined with him constantly getting so drunk that he forgets what's going on and he forgets what happened the day before. And he's just in a haze. He's in a Grinchy boomer haze all day where he's on social media doing this shit. I didn't watch her stream on The Family, just saw the post on Twitter. I believe you. My whole argument is that we should be better than KJ. Children are off limits. You're on her level right now. Do you see the way these people talk? Do you see the way they talk? If this secret group was about evidence, Steve would come back and say, you need to show evidence of Katie being on a level to attack children. No one is saying anything about children. Please stop spreading misinformation. It just never stops with this dude. He's willing to change the narrative, lie, he deletes messages, and then lies. What else we got here? So what else is being shared up in that server? Oh, just videos and pictures of Katie's kids with, she gives the best advice at the end. Pictures of Katie's kids. She's talked so many more times about her son's poo. I remember on a live stream, it was the main subject. The hypocrisy is potent with this one. The comments about narcissism is projection. I hate her. She is such a narcissist, it's crazy people don't see it. You notice that Steve's people started using the word narcissist like crazy after I did a video a week ago where I broke down the evidence that Steve Mcrae is a terrible narcissist. You notice that's when his group started with that against Katie. Well, if you haven't looked at the group, you won't see it, but that's when the group started with that narrative. They are so desperate. They are copycats. They cannot do anything on their own. They can't come up with a single good idea. They are just trolls that rush around the internet and grab anything they can and take any insult against them, anything that they feel guilty about, project it out onto others, and throw it out there against Katie. Non-stop. I'm not okay with sharing images of her son, no matter how vile she is. Here's the problem. The mods aren't censoring the shit about Katie's son out of this group. The admins, Steve and Look a Pig and AT2 and his helpers aren't censoring this group when they talk about these kids. This group needs to be reported. Steve Mcrae needs to be reported to Facebook, to YouTube, to Twitter, and to Patreon. You need to finally do it. If you have not done it, it only takes 5 minutes to tag Team YouTube and let them know, and then to go over and click report under his Patreon and let them know. They're not going to just censor him. It's not false flagging. You need to just tell them your opinion, and they will investigate. It's different than filing a report. It is different than mass flagging something when you let Team YouTube know your issue, and that's what they're there for. They encourage it. It's a way for you to get help on YouTube with something without filing reports and strikes so that, you fear that a mass reporting will happen and an error will happen. It's a way to know that a human being will deal with the issue at YouTube. Tagging Team YouTube. But if enough people don't tag, then nothing's gonna happen if enough people don't tag it. There are people here that literally say, I hate her. I hate Katie. No one's going to come in and say, what the hell are you? You're in here because you hate Katie? You need to go. This is a criticism group, not a troll hate group, not a thing that is fueled by hate group. This is a thing fueled by criticism. This is riddled in this group. Insults towards Katie. Just constant insults, constant people talking about her private parts, calling her a cunt, calling her horrible names. It's all through the group, and it's not moderated by who? The admins, Mcrae, Look a Pig, Jared, and the others. And because they won't moderate, it is what makes their group a harassment group. It is what makes their group targeted harassment. They watch everything Katie does. Every video, every collaboration is then discussed in this group. The most negative things are drawn every time, regardless if it's true or not. And then what happens? They go and mobilize out to try and do whatever damage they can around it. This always happens with them. Constantly. I don't know how many examples I'm going to have to show people before, in the very least, people step the fuck up and start tagging Team YouTube and start messaging on Patreon for some type of investigation to finally happen. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when is Mcrae going to stop? Never, unless he feels like he has some punishment coming towards him. That's it. The tactic we are going to use to report him isn't even going to guarantee that this will happen. It will only make it a possibility that this could happen. But by now, by this point, has it not been long enough? It's been 8, 9, 10 months. They were doing it openly on YouTube and in the background. Now they've kind of weaned away from YouTube because of the outrage that they've gotten from this. He knows he's going to lose more patrons. He's going to have more of his people that support him back away if he keeps doing it publicly. So he acts like a slime and does it behind closed doors. Only then admitting to things when he gets called out and he knows that there's evidence there. Then he starts to admit to things and twist the narrative. I wasn't in there talking about her kid. Hurry up and delete all the things we said about her kid, and then we're going to act like we didn't talk about her kid. I wasn't in there throwing insults at Katie. Hurry up and delete all the insults I've typed towards Katie, and then we'll act like that we haven't done it. But in the least, why are old men sitting around talking about a 7-year-old and his mother? Why? Has anybody come up with a logical or critically thought out, critical thinking engineer excuse here? What criticism on YouTube could ever fit this descriptor? It is harassment and bullying because of the length of time it's been happening and their constant propensity to continually bring up Katie's kid every time people stop listening to them. Every time that people stop giving a fuck about them and what they do something very extreme. I'm starting to think they do it on purpose, but that's just my opinion. We should be better. Leave children out of it. Lead by example. I agree. That's why KJ gets away with using a child as a shield. People know it's taboo to speak of children, yet she does it on the daily. Today she was showing a family and said mom and dad are healthy and dad looks well fed. The kids and even the little ones are very, very thin. Probably implies the kid don't get fed enough, in my opinion. So then they start bringing up Katie's son. You could just do a YouTube video, take this criticism, put it in a video without all the hate, without all the biased shit, put out your opinion, and maybe get a little bit of support. Maybe your criticism would show Katie, maybe you shouldn't make the comments about the kids next time. Now, this is different, though, because this is a family on television. This is a family that records themselves, the kid being recorded and put out. Katie just talks about her son on YouTube. These are different things. These kids, the family is talked about across all of news media. Does it give Katie an excuse for saying they look thin or any criticism? No, but you can't criticize someone when you're in the background targeting their kids, just like your people in your group are saying, even though this person is a freaking douche for the other things this person has said in this group. This is why troll groups are ineffective. You'll never get any good criticism to go out because while you're trolling, while you're doing those things, people are just going to wipe away your actual criticisms and say, I don't know what to think when you're going to be trolling this way. Hold up. Let me grab the rest of them here. I mean, I could go through these things for fucking hours with you guys. Literally hours. So this is one of the original statements about the kid, but this is one of the lightest ones. You could go see my video. The ones after I'm attacking Steve. Just kidding. I'm going to criticize him. The first time I criticized Steve, the first one, the videos after that show what he said about Katie's son. Versus Mode Part 2 shows some of it. Katie's son looks happy, normal, hate involving family and kids, but she claims he's medically fragile. I'm not an MD, and I honestly ask him what would make him medically fragile if he's healthy, looking normal, and talkative. This is too far, dude. Someone says, somebody has to ask. Steve says, no offense, Ocean. You have not gotten the hundreds of messages and shit I have gotten. No, you didn't. You're a liar. Shut the fuck up, Steve. You are such a liar. I'm asking honest questions about this. No, you're not. No, you're fucking not. She has made it public and Katie lies. People have said she scammed them out of money for fraudulent GoFundMes. That's the issue. People said it. Before you start just asking open-ended questions, go look first. Those GoFundMes are verified at this point. Her kid was sick. If 3 brain surgeries are sick, for fuck's sake. All right. So let's get this done because I'm ready to play some fucking video games. Oh my God. So let's see some of the cross damage control. So now Steve is responsible for this troll group going and watching and commenting on Sherelle's video. I literally shared the post where Steve tells people to go there and do it. So what in the fuck? But that's not what this is. This is them trying to build a narrative, okay? This is what they do. They want their audience to think, oh, well, Steve didn't tell them to do it, even though if they click on my video, they're going to see Steve telling them to do it. These are their lies and the tactics that they use, that they come up with. AJ is a liar and a fraud. We can't show evidence to this, so we just sit in troll groups and just rail her constantly for 9 months. Whenever you guys bring up Tina, I'll cut you. Just call her Tina Look Up Pig AT2. Okay? That's what you need to call Tina. So, just a little bit of evidence towards his lies and his bullshit. Here are the rules of my not Teen Mom group. Why didn't you make a new group then instead of taking over Ashley Siren's group full of Teen Mom fans? Oh, because you wanted the Teen Mom fans from Ashley Siren's Instagram so that you could order them around. Respect everyone's privacy. Well, Katie's stated over and over and over that she wants people to not talk about her kid. She is allowed to talk about her kid if she wants. It does not mean you're allowed to. So you violated that one. No talking about mass flagging. You guys literally just took down Demi's Twitter, Demi's Discord server. You have mass flagged, mass reported, and ordered mass reportings with these groups. The screenshots are out there. No group promo. Absolutely no doxing. Gee, I wonder when those rules were put in there. I wonder when. See, these are the things that basically what this is a list of the things that they just do in there behind closed doors. Evidence? I've got video recordings of them doing it together. The people that run the group sitting around on other YouTube channels. Let's see if we got anything else, because I'm ready to play some fucking video games, y'all. I think we've got pretty much all of it at this point. Oh, here's a good one. Here's another one of their damage controls. Uni is claiming we are deleting information. Lol. Is there anything that should be deleted? Because it's false. It's all backed up with evidence. This is why I suggest we open the group. If that was the case, it would have already been opened. We know for a fact that you guys deleted shit from that group. We'll put it out here in a little after a little bit while here if the group continues to be an issue. So what do we do to try, after all this time of just saying, fuck it, you know, he knew that there were talks about whether to start reporting him to Team YouTube and other places back in December. He knew that. So what did he do? When he got outed for the worst things, he went public and said to everybody, he's taking a break. He won't attack Katie anymore. He's moving on. His channel's going to be about what his channel normally was made for. His social media is going to be about why he's on the internet, and he's not going to do these things anymore. Blah, 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 blah. He tried to say it wasn't because of Versus Mode Part 2. He tried to say it wasn't because of the evidence that we put out on him. And he tried to say he didn't private his stuff because of all of this. So what did we all do? We all got into the Discord server and we said, no, I'm not going to continue with the conversation of, do we report him? Do we try to get creators together to get their followings to tag Team YouTube so they can get an investigation going? You know what? If he's going to stop, we're good. Over the last couple weeks leading after that, a lot of the shit that he was doing wasn't targeted at Katie. It was instead targeted at Demi or Nate Brody or Heretic or Dragnot or me or someone else. So, of course, we were like, look, if he's going to go around fighting with other people, fine. He stopped the bullshit with the kids. He stopped the bullshit with Katie. He's not in the troll groups anymore. Why should we not get all of us creators together that he has lied on, that he has harassed, that he has attempted to dox, that he has sent troll fucking people to come and fucking fuck with us and say things? Why would we not, seeing that he is still arguing, not that he brought Katie's son up, that once someone called him out, he starts arguing for why he can bring up her son, to the point of saying, let's assign Katie's son person A. Let's assign a random letter. That way we can talk all the shit we want about Katie's son, but people out there won't be able to say, hey, stop talking about a little kid. What do we do now that we know if we don't do something, he is going to continue doing this on top of continuing to try to dox people, harass people, lie to people, play damage control? He's been offered a debate. Literally a debate where if he beat me, he could continue talking about Katie forever. At least stand in front of the evidence that I have that proves that the things that they use against Katie Joy are fabricated and bullshit. Those major points that caused them to get a bunch of people involved. He won't debate me, yet he'll still sit in the background and talk shit and tell people to go attack Katie on other people's channels. This means that if we don't do something about this, he will continue to fuck with other creators simply because they are willing to work with Katie Joy. Or anyone else. Like if I go have ARPANET on, he's going to get berated by people now. You get me? That's what these guys are. They don't just do a YouTube video or a live stream and air their issues to an audience and then allow whatever happens to happen. That's not what they do. They go into the shadows and continue fighting dirty and attempting to wield this targeted harassment as their weapon. They want people that are going to criticize them to be nervous about doing it, because now they're going to have people coming at them. And I'm telling you, anyone that does criticize them, anyone that does, or other than maybe somebody with a brand new YouTube account, anyone, because they're not going to have an impact, any creator out there who decides to call out Steve for any of the bullshit that he's doing, that's the fucked up shit that he's done, they know they're going to get attacked. And it's been proven to this point. It has been proven to this point. So what do you do in that sense? Do you mass flag his videos? No. That is manipulating the vulnerabilities in YouTube's reporting system to attempt to take someone down. So no, you do not do that. You go to Twitter. You get every creator that is sick and tired of them doing this dumb shit. We are fine with them doing as many public videos as they want. They don't want to, because then other YouTubers will respond, and they must use the tactics I just named to incite fear in people responding. So what do? You fucking allow the creators that care, that want to participate, to put out a video telling their audience, showing the most egregious evidence, then telling their audience, if you agree that this is wrong, and if you agree that we should only be making videos and tweets and public, blogs and things like that in an attempt to get out our opinions on things, and we should not be taking the tactics that they are using to do it, go to Team YouTube on Twitter. We need to get the creators that are willing to do this together and get all of us to go and petition our audience, our Twitter followers, and everyone else to do this. Because it will not censor him. It will get YouTube or Twitter or wherever we're doing it to actually go to human beings at that company and simply look at what's going on and make up their mind whether there is something that should be done. At this point, I believe that it should be done. But let's hear what you think. And what creators do you think we should ask whether or not they want to participate? Type it in the live chat. Mods, anyone that talks about Katie's kid, just kick them the fuck out. All right. KMMI, extraordinary claims. What? Uni provides good evidence for his claims. I support that and agree, but Steve has a valid evidence that Katie brings up her son when it suits her. It's her fucking son! Are you joking? What now? Are you saying that creators shouldn't be able to bring up their kids? It's not a rule. It's not... I mean, you can bring up your kid. Talk about the fact that you have kids. Tell a story. Talk about the troubles you have with your family and kids. That's not against a TOS, and I don't see any reason not to do it. But it doesn't, her doing that does not give Steve Mcrae's old ass permission to sit around in fucking private groups. This is what I'm saying. These things are wrong. These things are wrong. When he brings the kid in, it's not his kid. Because it is Katie's kid, she has a valid option to do it. You got me? Pertaining to content, pertaining to a live stream discussion. What these guys are doing is they're trying to cherry pick any little thing that any creator says and then use it against them. They are not trying to take the creator, understand the argument from the creator, show people what the creator is saying, give a counterpoint like we are doing, and that is what I have just described is criticism. What is he doing? He is in private groups going around censoring and telling people that they should talk about Katie's son, but let's assign a letter to him so that way people can't get mad and criticize us for it. This has gone too far. Combine what he's doing in this group today against her kid. Combine it with the things he said about Katie's son for an entire day on Twitter, X amount of time ago. And he needs to be held accountable for this, because the reason he locks his fucking tweets down and the reason why he locks himself behind private groups while complaining when a creator turns on member-only chat, for fuck's sake, get me, is because he not only is he a hypocrite, but he wants to be able to, with a group of people who hate another creator as much as he does, discuss hating that creator. There is no good reason why his old ass should be bringing her kid into it other than the fact that he hates her and he wants to achieve a vendetta, and he knows that it would hurt her very, very badly if he talks bad about her kid. That is why he did it. That's why he's still doing it. There was no criticism brought up in why he brings these kids up. There's no explanation. He didn't even agree that the kids shouldn't be brought into it. He argued that the kids should be able to be brought into it. I'm telling you right now, if you started a YouTube channel, you went live and wanted to talk about something that happened with one of your kids, it does not give other creators permission, and YouTube agrees with this. YouTube agrees about that. Only the adult can make that decision. The parent, I'm sorry. Another person on YouTube cannot bring up children under 13. Go try to upload a video and see if YouTube doesn't have a warning up there in blue and at the bottom and ask you if there are kids involved or discussed or talked about, because this is true. Him doing this is directly one of the most major issues. If he wants to start railing on Katie again, fine, we will expose him for it, show his audience how he's willing to lie and not keep his word, and expose him. If he's going to bring the kid into it, then he needs to be reported. He needs something done. An investigation needs to happen. He needs to know that when he does bring up other people's kids into his narcissistic vendettas, that people are going to say, that's enough. We are petitioning the networks now. We are going to get them not to censor you, to investigate whether you're doing something wrong now. And if the network says no, we'll live with the determination. If the network says yes, he has to live with the determination. It's a fair system. Exactly, Cal Chewy Clue. Exactly. No, not just that. Their own group, Steve Mcrae, the things that their group hates on Katie for, that group could be criticizing Steve Mcrae for 90% of the shit that they get on Katie for. And Steve Mcrae has done the things that they hate on Katie for more egregiously than Katie has done the things that they're yelling at Katie for. This is the hypocrisy with this group. It's one of the main points that expose the group as an actual harassment and troll group, and not just some, criticism group, private criticism group that's out there. Yeah, Red's Rhetoric, he sure does hate it when you turn on member-only chat. You remember that? I wonder why he can't criticize Steve for having these private groups that he hides behind. Has Red's Rhetoric done a video where he stands up and criticizes Steve for turning off his like-dislike ratio, or turning off his comments, which he's done in several videos? Did Red's Rhetoric criticize Steve for privating his Twitter account and his Instagram account twice when he was being heavily criticized for things he did? No. Do you know why? Because Bread's Rhetoric. Steve's always right. Chest hair and rockets. Bread Rhetoric YouTube channel. Steve and his buddies have cultivated a propaganda group, a little group that will criticize anyone else on YouTube that challenges them with these huge lists of tactics that they refuse to apply to themselves and to their own friends, which devalues all of their criticism, not just against other YouTubers, but it devalues their criticism against flat earthers, against their own debates, their own topics that they cover. They can't go around debating flat earthers when they act worse than flat earthers. And yes, flat earthers suck, but flat earthers are doing what they do for a flat earth. Reds and Steve are doing what they do so that Steve can continue harassing, doxing, lying, and manipulating people while taking money from the public. Let's go into that realm really quick before I start gaming out. Let's go into that realm real quick before I start my game. Steve's money, what is he getting paid for with Super Chats and with Patreon and PayPal? What is he getting paid for? He gets mad at me because I get paid to vape and drink Red Bull while I do streams and make videos. He doesn't like that about me. But his money, factually, is going toward him to participate in these private groups, to rail against Katie Joy for 10 straight months, to justify bringing up Katie's 7-year-old into it because he has an issue with the mother. Got me? The people that are donating to Steve literally are being kept in the dark. The reason why he tries his best to go onto YouTube and put out a certain air of defense mechanism and damage control is to prevent his paying audience. He's already convinced his paying audience that he knows they read his blog. He knows that if he links his blog through Patreon, his patrons will read it, and he warns them that Uni is a troll and that Uni's lying and Uni's doing this so that they won't watch my video and see the hard evidence of what Steve is doing. Then Steve can go private his accounts to make sure that the people that are following him don't get to see those mean tweets from people that are putting that evidence up next to his stuff. And then he can go to YouTube and try to cultivate what he puts out and what he shows. Got me? Got me? So, end point with that money, because of those types of tactics, the money he gets from those people isn't paying for content. It's not paying for him to do some type of YouTube content. The money is going toward what he does with the majority of his day. Majority of my day goes to making videos and live streams. That's how I can say that the money coming in here pays for those things. The majority of his day, I have proven to you that it goes toward participating in private groups where they harass women that are much younger than them, dressing up his friends AT, Luca, and others in female admin roles in these groups so that they can help out and they can push his narrative. Attacking Katie for 10 straight months off bullshit, literally lying to you about non sequitur and hiding certain facts about non sequitur from you so that he can make sure you keep donating to him. That's why, yes, you should report his Patreon, along with us tagging Team YouTube together in a couple days. I'm going to come up with a day, probably like Wednesday or Friday, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to write a letter, I'm going to have my mods contact the other YouTubers that they feel have been impacted by Steve Mcrae's TOS breaking behavior. And I'm going to try to get every single creator that agrees with us to put out a video that tells their audience. I will get all the evidence together so that they don't have to do the work, and I will send it to them in a pack. All of his tweets, all the links to his tweets backed up on the Wayback Machine, all the videos, all the clips, the links to the clips backed up so that there is no question about this and the validity of the information. I will get it to the YouTuber so they can upload a 5 to 6 minute video showing every fucked up thing that Steve's doing, and that if you agree that you shouldn't harass somebody for 10 months, that you should make criticism videos and then move on to the next criticism or the next topic, to tag Team YouTube with a tweet that we will all get ready for them to do it. Only if they agree. This is happening. I made a deal to everybody. I said I will not tag Team YouTube. I will not try to get him turned in for anything fucky as long as he's criticizing adults. If he does it to the kids again, we are getting a campaign together to get YouTube to look into what he's been doing. It happened multiple times since I said that. So we're doing it. You don't have to participate. You don't have to help. But if you do have a creator out there who's weighed in on any of this stuff at all, in any realm, in the last year or two, I think we should probably get a hold of him here in the next few days and try to get this thing prepped and ready. Personally. He said those types of things to me too, Fiona. I know that some of the viewers out there, they're going to be like, fuck it, I'm not going to help with this, and that's fine. But I know for a fact that the audience members that have kids, that have nieces, that have nephews, that have like a friend that has kids, you're going to understand why this finally has to happen. If his little secret troll group did not have the repeated instances of them making excuses for why it's okay to go at the kids, then fine. If he didn't do it on Twitter, if he doesn't do it in live streams, if he didn't talk about it in his little private groups with all of his friends over and over again, and yes, they talk about Katie's kid often, it wouldn't be an issue. But I'm telling you now, if you think you're not going to help with this, just wait until he starts up again and finds a new victim and starts doing the same thing to them in a month or in 3 months or in a year. He will not stop. He is obsessed. It is his existence. Remember the video that I did. Now, I'm going to transfer into us doing a normal live stream after I play this. Here it is. I'm going to talk to Steve, most likely on the after show. So make sure you come. We had like...
Look, there's no beef between you and I. I love Uni. I watch his stuff. I listen to him probably more than anybody. I think he does great commentary when he's informed. Unfortunately tonight, he wasn't.
If you think that another creator that you watch eventually is not going to butt heads with Steve and criticize him over his nasty behavior, you're wrong. And what does he do to creators that butt heads with him and criticize him? What does he do? What does he do to them? He tries to destroy them. He tries to tear them down. He tries to convince people that their channel sucks and you shouldn't watch it, just so they won't see the criticism. When I only came here to document this and put out a few versus modes for people to get a sum up, I would hope that Steve can watch this, understand that yes, my opinion is valid in this, and that hopefully he will apologize for all that messed up stuff that he said. I'll let him watch the video and decide what to do. As for the community, I'm still putting out my summation on non-sec verses without a crystal ball. I'm still getting all the data I need to do this sum up, and it will be out soon, so keep an eye on it. Just know this, I will update my channel. I will provide everything that has happened on each side. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. I said it in the beginning, and I've done it all the way up to now. Do you see that even after Steve tried to destroy my channel and tried to prep his audience against me, I was dumb enough to believe that it was just a mistake. I was dumb enough to believe that Steve was just upset or that he was mad or something. Only then, after this video, or right before this video, did I realize that the people who criticize Steve Mcrae actually have good reason to do it, and that we should be listening to them and hearing what they have. Only after then. And once I started to listen to the people that criticize Steve Mcrae was when I learned that he defends rapists. Doesn't believe victims, but believes rapists. Attempts to get more people to believe that the rapist is innocent and that the women are liars. Why would anyone do that? I think David or Warden pays people to do that kind of thing. I know you're going to say it's crazy, but that's just my opinion. You don't have to believe that yourself. I don't see why anyone would take a chance in throwing away their YouTube presence. Like, if Steve was wrong about Warden, it's factual that then he would have thrown away his YouTube presence for backing Warden, right? But the main thing is, once I got out there and started watching Heretic's videos, Nate Brody's videos, Dragnot Silvus's videos, I noticed that Red's Rhetoric, Cheshire, and Steve Mcrae, and Bullinator, and AT2 and Lookapig, and others involved were defending Steve, knowing that he'd done these things. This is how he's gotten away with this. Why? Why, though? Why? My last live stream proved that the Super Chat drive asked for money using a lie to back it. That lie was that Katie struck Leslie's channel under false pretenses. So now I'll prove that. Then give you reasons why the community should care that this happened. Before we start, anyone that would want to prove my points wrong would respond with counterpoints to my points, not with lies and insults on a social media frenzy, right? These are Leslie's videos that were removed in violation of YouTube due to her playing TV shows on her channel. Content creators are allowed to file strikes if another creator breaks terms of service. So the question is, did Leslie deserve to be struck in her video about Katie? The answer is a resounding yes. While some creators may not file strikes when other creators bring up a child's illness, medical conditions, or other subjects, it's up to the creator. Do you hear that? You realize that all of this started not just because Steve was attacking Katie's son, but because other people were too. And when Katie stood up against people attacking her son, telling people, if people bring up my kid or if people harass us, you need to report that video, that's when they turned that narrative of that she's out striking people. That led to the Super Chat drive. That led to me calling him out for the Super Chat drive. Any creator is at risk of doing the right thing and calling out the lies that they push to try and cultivate a social justice mob against creators that they're mad at. Any creator is in danger of discovering the real truth, putting it out in a video, and then having them come at them. Luckily, I've been on YouTube for way longer than Steve Mcrae and his little sycophantic army. I've got a pretty backed up long line of being able to go into these stories and pull out the facts of them and show them to you with hard evidence that backs them up, like you see on the screen, so that you know the actual truth. And because my audience knows that I'm using evidence and the people that are trying to expose me did not use evidence and just whined and cried and tried to dox and harass and bullshit, this is the moment. Versus Mode Part 2 is the moment where I went from not being threatened at all, not having any of my family threatened, not having Rachel brought into the bullshit that's happening, not having any other thing happen whatsoever that was negative, that was doxing, that was harassing towards me. And once Versus Mode 2 came out, that's when a flood of that shit came at me. I criticized them based on hard evidence that I was nice enough to put on the screen to show and to back myself up with so that people knew what I drew my opinion from. Got me? And they could have the evidence in front of them to make their own mind up with that evidence. Okay? I did what I was supposed to do. I showed you the truth. And I started to get harassed, threatened, doxed. Rachel, they tried to dox her and harass her and threaten her. Only after this video. What is this video about? It's about Steve Mcrae lying to his audience and doing a super chat drive off of a lie. When he knew about the lie, when he ignored the evidence that would expose that he was lying about it, instead of apologizing to his audience, he doubled down on the lie, and then he went toward harassing and doxing and threatening and putting me down. And when I first said it, people told me that I was a conspiracy theorist until I produced an actual video that showed it. Until I produced an actual video that showed it. If you think that we don't band together and actually try to get a hold of Team YouTube to weigh in on this, that everything's just going to be fine and this is not going to happen anymore, and Steve is going to learn his lesson, and he's going to stop trying to dox people, and he's going to stop trying to lie to people, and he's going to stop trying to push narratives that are based on fake evidence to try to expose the YouTubers that he has a personal vendetta against. If you think that other YouTubers aren't going to weigh in with hard evidence so that they can get the truth out there to people and then be doxxed and harassed and threatened, if you don't band together with me and file for Team YouTube to step in, you are lying to yourself. We can either allow this bullshit to keep happening, which will threaten anyone's ability to be able to weigh in on any story around Steve Mcrae or his sycophantic army in the future so that they can continue what they're damn doing, or we can at least make an attempt to get YouTube to open up their eyes and just look at it. Because once I put this video out, you know what happened. I showed the hard evidence of it. I recorded them live doing it. If it's harassment and not a documentary, instructional video, educational, or etc. Katie false striking Leslie was the premise for the Super Chat drive. With people angry at Katie already, it made Leslie's audience, who is made up of a good portion of Katie's audience, pay attention to Steve. They considered him a good guy. This video not only proved that they were basing all of this on a lie, it proved that they used manipulative tactics to try and target Katie's audience and other people's audiences so that he could try to get support in his fight against Katie. Because after 7 months, this was at the 7-month point when I did this video, 7 months of him continually attacking Katie, he was unhappy with the level of response that he got. So he did these fake things to try and up the ante and get more people interested. The only reason that people got interested is because I weighed in and other YouTubers started to weigh in to defend him, just like with Non Sequitur. And by the way, he's lying to you about Non Sequitur too. Just because you hate Kyle doesn't mean you shouldn't also put that skeptical eye towards Steve. The minute you start asking skeptical questions towards Steve about non-sec, the minute you apply the same logic you've been applying to Kyle to Steve, you'll see that Steve lied more than Kyle. They're both responsible. You shouldn't be defending either of them. This is what Steve does with any tiny thing that he thinks will make him look bad. But let's continue. Right off the bat, since he was helping Leslie after the big bad YouTuber silenced her. Knowing that it was Leslie's fault that her video went down would have changed this whole situation. If the audience would have known that it was not Katie's fault that Leslie's video went down, that it was Leslie's fault that her own video went down, then the giant group of people wouldn't have stood up to defend them being Steve and the others next to him. It wouldn't have elicited a big response from people. I wouldn't have been having live streams with 700 and 800 and 900 people watching. He wouldn't have been having live streams with 200 and 300 and 350 people watching. That would not have been happening if we would have known the truth about this in the beginning. He knew the truth the whole time. The evidence is in this video that he knew the truth the whole time. These are the tactics he will continually use against other creators if we do not get YouTube to at least look at what he's doing. People may not have donated knowing Leslie was down due to her own actions. Also, since this whole thing was misrepresented, Katie was used as a bit of clickbait to get more people to watch and care about the issue. Now, this is a constant reoccurring thing with Steve Mcrae. He only gets a lot of people to care about his narrative by attacking a YouTuber that has extreme success in the algorithm. Katie was making Social Blade reports that Katie was making upwards of $15,000 to $25,000 per month. That she was making views that were just massive daily. And that's the reason that Steve went at Katie, not Godless Engineer, not Kyle, not Mr. Atheist, and not Shannon Q. The biggest person out of the group was Katie. So he picked a tiny little thing that Katie said in passing in a video before going on to do her normal thing for months and centered on it, knowing that if he could get her audience mad, that the percentage of her audience that would back him, even if it was 2%, would be massive. And it worked thanks to me and others being lied to and lulled into backing him. Also, here are some more general criticisms. 1. If Katie's name wasn't used, they wouldn't have as many donations. 2. This issue wouldn't have received as much attention. 3. It is a YouTube no-no, and it's disrespectful to all the communities involved. 4. It's being deceptive. 5. It's not doing your due diligence if Leslie is down due to her own actions. 6. It's playing off of people's emotions and outrage. 7. It proves that those involved are willing to play the blame game for gain. Also, other revelations shook the community after those involved started releasing evidence surrounding the Super Chat situation. The video that Stephen Leslie claimed was struck by Katie was still up on Leslie's channel, which doesn't happen for community strikes. When I let him know this, he started to attack me and demonize me across YouTube. But it is the truth. It is backed by hard evidence across multiple networks. He would not allow his audience to entertain anything I was doing, privated his Twitter, privated his Insta, stopped streaming on the Steve Mcrae channel, went to Patreon, told them that I was a troll, linked them to a blog post that told them I was a troll to try and stop his audience from seeing my video that's in front of you right now. And her Social Blade data didn't show the video deleted, obviously because it was still up. So the community started doubting whether Leslie even had a community strike to begin with from Katie or at all. These are valid points. It's normal for us to ask a YouTuber about things like this when these kind of issues come up. The picture on the left is Steve admitting that he and Leslie did not check before they blamed Katie. Now also, this happened 2 weeks after the Super Chat drive. This is proof that he knew that Katie didn't do it. And what was his tactic to make it so that he could keep it from people that Katie didn't do it? He pretended like, why would I have to prove? Why would I have to prove it before I did the Super Chat drive? It's normal for me to do a Super Chat drive and not check and make sure that the thing I'm basing it on is even true in the beginning. Now, remember back to earlier in this stream, I showed you him saying that Katie had done fake GoFundMes based on her sick kid and taken money based on her sick kid from his secret group where they don't talk about Katie's kid. This is all in the last couple days. So the group admins are allowed to spread misinformation that Katie's son isn't sick and that Katie's gaining money from her sick son under fraudulent means, without criticizing Mcrae for literally lying about the reasons he's doing a Super Chat drive, lying about whether it's valid or not, and then blaming it on a creator that's getting a lot of views so that he can get a lot of attention for the Super Chat drive. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Social Blade data a little closer. On the day that Leslie claims the strike happened, there is no data to indicate that the video was removed. The most interesting point is that after I started asking these questions, Leslie did two things. She deleted the video. Remember, this is the video that she claims was down the entire time with a community strike. And she also released a screenshot of a strike sent from YouTube. If you look here, it says, or a temporary penalty to you account. I've searched for picture after picture of community strike. I have yet to find an example of a community strike having spelling errors. Also, everyone I've talked to says Social Blade should have shown the removal if it happened, and I agree. Now, why would this fake strike get put out? It confirms no one's story but Mcrae. It confirms Mcrae's story. This, oh my God, we've got to believe that it happened now. Even though it's fake, it's provably fake. These are the things that happen around Mcrae. Fake images, fake things come out that he pushes hard. And when I stand up and say it's fake, he turns me into a troll. He tries to stop his audience from watching my video. I've challenged him to play this video on the Steve Mcrae channel ever since I put it out over and over and over in full and react to it and use his crazy criticism tactics, his genius big brain tactics to expose me for the horrible, dumb uni logic that I used in my video, and he will not play it. I've challenged him to debate me on all of this information so that he could show that I'm a liar, I'm a troll, I'm a bad guy in front of everybody, and show that my evidence sucks. He won't do it. Instead, labeled me a troll, attacked me, lied about my channel, and put me down. If you think other creators aren't going to stand up to him in the future and call out his fake evidence, his bullshit photoshopped strikes, his bullshit photoshopped screenshots of what Katie said about something, if you think creators aren't going to stand up in the future when the next incident happens and he's not going to try to take them down and lie about them and attack them, imagine one isn't as established on YouTube as I was when he did it to me. They might actually have their audience completely turn on them or something. They might actually have negative things happen to their show or to what they do on YouTube. They might quit YouTube once a creator. The more followers that Steve gains on YouTube, his ability to be able to keep doing this stuff. By the way, this is like the 95th time he's done this. That's what one of my videos is going to be about, how he did it to a community. Literally, the first couple weeks that he appeared on YouTube, he stole a community to do it. This is a constant reoccurring behavior from this person. If we all don't band together and get Team YouTube to at least look into this, he is just going to keep doing it forever.
When I bring this up, they both accuse me of accusing them of things. That simply isn't true. I just want the truth to come out, and it is my job to bring these things up. One thing that has surprised me about this situation is how quickly they turned on me after I started asking questions. So you'll ask me, does this mean that the screenshot is fake? I don't know. You'll have to make up your own mind on that after watching this whole video. I'd like to bring up one other thing though. If we look down on the image where it says, the impact of strikes, you'll notice the letters are not bold. This also doesn't happen in other emails from YouTube. Lastly, in a live stream, Leslie showed us the email from her phone. And at the top, in the sender line, it said YouTube creators. I have asked every creator that I can, and all of our strikes have come from YouTube, from an email containing do not reply. So since Leslie is saying that they are still real after seeing all of this, let's ask ourselves, what if? What if they are real? What if they aren't? Just so we know which way to go in case we ever get a definitive answer.
Does it sound like I'm being a troll? Or does it sound like I'm literally entertaining both sides, both claims, with all the evidence, breaking it down? It seems like I'm really doing a well-prepared, well-done video full of criticism and evidence that should be answered and treated that way by other creators because of the amount of time and effort I put into this. This video was a month in the making. The edit took me a day and a half. This video was massive to put together, let alone us digging in and finding all of these things, making all these points, writing all of it down, ordering it into a video, getting it all set up. And then just to have it swiped away, swipe or no swipey, because Uni's a bad guy troll. He's just a bad guy. You don't want to hear his evidence. You don't want to see all this evidence he put together because, you know, he's a troll. So that means you shouldn't see the truth and the evidence that's there, right?
If they are fake, well, if Leslie faked these emails, the only reason I can think is because she must not have watched my video or misheard what my issue was. I guess she could have faked these because they had done this super chat drive and felt that people would be angry. It's really all I can come up with. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if she would have come out to tell us what had happened in this case, of course. Maybe somebody pressured her into doing it, thinking it would sway the community. I'm not sure. If they are real, well, if they're real, it means that not only did YouTube have an extremely rare error by misspelling words in an email that was written by a bot, but also that Social Blade encountered a very rare error by not logging the loss of views on her channel. Also, YouTube would have experienced the most rare error I have ever heard of by allowing a video that was struck by a community strike of that kind, harassment, to stay up on her channel, gaining views and ad revenue, which it was, and getting a lot of, when every other creator would have had their video go down instantly and not come back up without an appeal. Some other points worth mentioning. At the same time this issue is coming to a head, Steve starts telling people that I'm bullying Leslie. Leslie and her sisters start putting me down for things.
That's right. He is trying to turn himself into the victim to turn me into the bully. What have I done since Versus Mode Part 2? I have weighed in with hard evidence each time showing he is a bully. He is a harasser. He is a liar, a manipulator, a supreme narcissist. Yes, supreme. All these things I've shown you about him are factual. They are quotes from him. They are backed up by evidence. None of it is bullying. None of it was lying. All of it was sourced. I never once came at you and asked you to just trust me. I never once came at you and said, just ignore the evidence, or how about I just don't show the evidence, but refer to the evidence. Never. And that's what he'll do to every other creator in the future if YouTube doesn't look into him and what he's been doing.
Things that they were fine with just days before, and a group of people out on Twitter and YouTube start trolling me around the fact that I'm bullying a mother of 6. I am not bullying anyone, and my content stands for itself. Everyone is fine with me looking into these situations while I'm looking away from them. But as soon as I look toward them, they turn a 180 and prepare their audience against me.
This is where it gets really bad. Now, mind you, this is before I had any good evidence to be able to say that Steve was the source of the targeted harassment against my girlfriend instead of me, a woman much younger than him. Targeted harassment against my girlfriend. Got me? Doxing attempts against my girlfriend, doxing attempts against me, targeted harassment against me. All of that was after I had evidence to be able to say that Mcrae and the people close to him were the source of this behavior. Since then, it's been proven with clips, with audio, and with video that you could find by watching my channel. So I'm referring you directly to the evidence. Go see the last video that I did. Go see the video I did before that where I show a video clip of them trying to threaten me with my location. All of that would have been added to this video, but I didn't have evidence to show that it was Steve. Only his drunken mishaps led to him being identified as the person that was behind this since. But it is there. It is there for you if you haven't seen it.
As I was editing this video, a few things were brought to my attention. This is happening in real time, pretty much, so just bear with me. Leslie put out the admission that confirmed everything I was saying up to now. She said, I think my video was done on the 25th, I'm not sure. At some point, they reviewed it. I assumed I couldn't do anything while under review. To me, these details don't matter. I just know I lost the ability to use my channel and can't live stream.
This was them building the excuse. She did lose her ability to live stream. Even she doesn't know if it was Katie or not. We've proven it wasn't Katie. Hard evidence stated it wasn't. But every single thing that came out of Steve or anyone close to him was allowing people to still believe that Katie could have done it, regardless of her being exonerated.
I didn't see the email, so no one knew exactly what was happening, but because a post came out where Katie instructed people to mass report my channel, and a mod of hers came out forward showing a message from Katie where Katie Asked if she had trolls that could mass report, Leslie says that this doesn't mean anything, and Steve has said this too. Maybe not to you, but here on the internet, when you blame another creator for taking down your channel and then have the gall to do a super chat stream that is based on this fact, it does matter. It abuses the very community that you're calling out for donations. Steve and Leslie know this. Imagine if the title wasn't aimed at Katie and was Christmas Super Chat Drive for Leslie. I can guarantee you that they wouldn't have had a portion of the views, or that this situation wouldn't have blown up like it has. After my last stream, Steve decided to take to social media for one of the most insane breakdowns the internet has ever seen. He said that my military service now doesn't matter, because after questioning him and Leslie...
You hear that, other creators out there who tried to say this was a lie? This video was made when he was doing it. These tweets are backed up on the Wayback Machine. Clips of them, pictures of them are in videos across the internet and YouTube and social media. So who framed Steve to say things about my military service for an entire week? Or did he say things about my military service? Well, there's one way I can prove he did it. The Wayback Machine. Oh, you could say that it's fake that Steve said these things about my military service. You'd be lying to yourself. You could say it. Other creators are lying to themselves and saying it right now. Team Skeptic is one of them, but we proved it. The Wayback Machine cannot be manipulated. It is Steve's Twitter link. It goes right to the date where this shows. You can look at the date on this. Go look on the Wayback Machine and see that it is backed up and that he did say these things. Not only there, but on Red's Rhetoric's channel. His account that links to his YouTube that has the 13 or whatever thousand subscribers that he has also was there saying these things that are in these tweets and saying that he meant them. Just to make sure that's there, because at some point, the viewers of those channels that were willing to lie for him and put out a narrative for him that he didn't say these things about my military service. The truth is going to come out someday. Someday it will come out. Maybe the next time that they try to lie for another creator, the truth will come out and they will be held accountable for their lies.
Over this, I lost all my honor. Go watch my stream that I did and then ask yourself why he would say this. This is false. He's only saying it because he is evil and lost his way. After attacking Katie for 7 months, very carefully showing the audience cultivated narratives, leading them on what to think and how to act toward the situation, he then takes a grip on all of his false power and tries his best to turn people against me like any dictator of a falling empire would.
Isn't that interesting? Even back then, when he first said this, he was using the same tactics that he used to convince Team Skeptic and others that he didn't say these things. He used those tactics back then, too.
Don't let people see anyone else's opinion, because since they lost their military honor and since they are horrible, the facts they put out and the truth that they speak just doesn't matter. Loss of a fallen comrade. Spelled wrong, though. Unirock has no honor and is a disgrace to the service. When he got a pushback on this, he decided that he would go even lower and accuse me of being a criminal instead, saying in this post on Facebook, the guy who bullied Leslie Bass off the internet for a while has quite the rap sheet. Forgery, ? Identity theft, ? Domestic violence.
I have none of those charges. This is why he put it on Facebook. And then sock accounts. Yes, actual sock accounts. Accounts that had just been created in the last few weeks to the last month that only content on their channel dealt with attacking Katie Joy. Then took his accusation, baseless, evidenceless accusation, and took it to Twitter to try to accuse me of these things. I have challenged him to put out the evidence of this. He will not. He wants to pretend like he didn't say it. Hey, Team Skeptic, wait till the day that you piss off Steve and he says this about your military service and then tries to... Well, I could actually prove that this is bullshit anyway. If he knew I had a rap sheet like he says he makes the claim, a positive claim that I have quite a rap sheet. Got me? But then he puts forgery ? If I have quite a rap sheet, you wouldn't use a ? Identity theft ? Domestic violence ? Unirock bully tactics cause a suicide? ? How did my bully tactics cause a suicide when that guy is still alive and has already admitted that he didn't commit suicide? All of it was a lie. This is him showing his true self early in the story. He lies purposely, puts out fake things purposely, uses private groups and tells those groups, go grab what I put out on Facebook and spam it over to Twitter. So it looks like a bunch of people, a bunch of viewers, a bunch of others are making the accusation, and maybe it won't come back to me originally doing it on Facebook. But at this point, my audience, my Discord server, had been watching what he was doing, caught him doing this in the act, and confronted him on it so quickly that it squashed that narrative so fast he never brought it up again. If this was true, he'd bring it up all the time.
Notice the question marks? I've never had anything at all more than a traffic ticket, never gone to jail or prison, or had any trouble at all. He has no evidence of what he's saying, but he also knows this. I would normally not even include this in a video, but because it shows who Steve Mcrae really is, I will include this because it shows that he is the bully. He does these things on Facebook, and then instantly, within seconds sometimes, over on Twitter, the same allegation pops right up and gets retweeted around by the same group of people.
How can you ever believe what he says toward Katie or toward anyone? How can you believe what he defends? How can you believe him? This is him trying to convince people that I'm a criminal so that people won't watch the very videos that I'm putting out. This one he obviously was after, but still, after I did this video, even worse things tried to be pushed against me. And once he realized that he wasn't going to find anything on me, that's when they started to attack Rachel. If you think other creators aren't going to have these same things happen to them because they criticize Steve Mcrae, remember, all I had done up to this point against Steve was criticize him in a couple videos, lightly, respectfully even, because I had the evidence there to prove what I was saying. If you think he's not going to do it to others, you're wrong. How many people that he's bumped into in the past have been bullied off of YouTube, bullied off of Twitter, bullied off the internet because they were willing to stand up and criticize him? We'll never know because they're gone. But I'm telling you, you don't just start this hard. You don't tell this kind of lie, this kind of thing out of the blue. You don't just do that after you've been a good guy for years. You do not just throw that out there. You get me?
People. Amazingly, Cheshire also chimed in accusing me of all the same things, including bullying Leslie.
And Cheshire acts all pissed off that I said that I will never talk to her again. She does. She has. She was very upset when she first found out that I said I would never talk to her ever again. Cheshire, you know why.
If my videos are bullying in any way, then what is Steve? But he did.
That brings me to another point that I'll make quickly since it's back to back. But these things he says about me and towards me, he will not turn towards anyone with him on his side or himself, thus devaluing all of his criticism. The only thing Steve could legit do on the internet is go do atheist content again, or maybe go start a cooking show. It's the only thing he'd be able to do and not have anyone be able to say that is invalidated by your own arguments. In fact, remember the RA thing? We were watching some videos over the last few days and found him saying that every Catholic that exists is an RA. If they still support the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church has been shown to have certain churches have pedophiles in them. Remember, now let that sink in. He pushed this opinion. Cheshire pushed the opinion for him and defended it on it. Red pushed the opinion for him and defended it that, yes, all Catholics, if they stay Catholics, are RAs for not leaving the church. It is all over Twitter. It is all over YouTube videos. I'll help you out by doing a video. I'll include that in my final video on Non Sequitur, and you can find it on Anti-Ordinary's channel, a video, and I think Heretic criticizing him on that. But the minute he's accused of being an RA with actual clips that prove he is an RA, Cheshire, Reds, and Steve change their entire opinion all at the same time. Why do I bring this up? It shows that they don't have a right or a logical basis in the future, ever again, or in the past, up to now, to criticize anybody. They don't withhold to their own thoughts. Their own thoughts change to protect themselves. Their own feelings on severe, serious events change to protect themselves. They cannot expose people in the future, because if they do, all you got to do is bring up what I just said. Well, you guys were willing to change the way you think about all of these things, not change it based on new evidence, change it based on a defense for your friend.
Did this to incite a social justice mob. He did this to steer people away from me, knowing that I had found the truth about their scam. He even just went live as I was finishing this and admitted that the email I just showed you was fake all along. Ironically, there is a group of people that follow Steve around. What they end up doing is worse than trolling. They troll like him. I called them the Steve McHaters. I always wondered why Steve kept them around, always discussing them and responding to them, keeping them in the fold and asking others to respond for him so that he didn't have to give them attention. Now I know why he keeps them around. They sit around and accuse him of horrible things so that people feel bad for Steve. They, in a way, are a social justice warrior shield. Anytime he does something horribly wrong, they get involved and troll, and it allows Steve to retreat to sock accounts and to his own accounts, only when...
Since this aired, I have changed my mind on several of the people who have made those videos criticizing Steve and updated it, so look to my channel for the update there, but I'm going to play it at least.
He's angry enough to lash out with false allegations of lost service or crimes that don't exist. I just read his last post about Katie. It said that she false struck one of his videos, so she deserved to be exposed by him forever. Well, it turns out that video is nothing but Katie's own content rearranged a little bit with no commentary. Now that it's down, he can lie to you and tell you that she false struck him, when in all reality, she can strike somebody who steals her content if she wants. All in all, I don't care what he says or does to me. Obviously, he would have passed the test if he would have remained neutral and allowed me to give him the light criticism that I gave him days ago when all of this started in my first video criticizing him. Instead, it drove him mad enough to show us all what he really is. I didn't bully Leslie or anyone else. Proof is in my videos. I didn't team up with Katie. I only want...
And I didn't bully anyone on social media either, because I don't use it. The only thing I do is tweet, make jokes, share my videos. I don't go on social media for more than a couple minutes when I need to share something. I don't open my notifications and respond. I don't open my DMs. I tell people to email me if they want to get a hold of me, or to let my mods know in a live stream that they want to talk to me. Thus, you're not going to find me doing any of these things anywhere but YouTube. And if you watch my videos, you'll see that they all maintain the same standard that you're seeing here.
To give you the truth of this horrible situation. So here it is. Steve can't get to Kyle Curtis, so he chose one of Kyle's friends. Ironically, the one of them that apologized to him. He harassed her over a period of 6 months. I went and looked and counted myself. He very slowly and carefully put...
This is December 15th, 2 weeks later, admitting he didn't know who struck her, but told you he did so that you donate $1,200. That is, by definition, a scam, a con, a lie. And there are still people who will donate money to him after it happened. Why? Because they are having what is shown to them cultivated by him. These people think they're critical thinkers. The YouTubers out there that are defending Steve's behavior think they're skeptics. How are they skeptics when they refuse to look at the other side and look at the evidence and just take his words? This should show that any creator that's backing Steve, behind Steve, defending Steve, should be shown the evidence. And until they're willing to look at it and give an opinion on it, you should not watch them or support them. When they come to their damn senses and look at the evidence, then you'll be able to make your mind up based on what they say. If they say, oh, this evidence is verifiable, it proves the points that are made, it's strong evidence, it shows his behavior, it's not attributing anything to him that he's not doing himself, it's fair, and they actually take it in and still make up their mind to support him, or make up their mind to expose him, or make up their mind to not support him anymore, then you can take their actions and then make up your mind whether they are doing the right thing or not. Because if someone's not willing to do it to the people next to them, then why are they putting on an act that they're willing to do it to random YouTubers and random people and random flat earthers across the internet? How do they deserve to earn the title of skeptic or critical thinker or critical thinking engineer or Katie Paulson engineer or crack rum and alcohol engineer when they will not entertain the evidence and even look at it or even discuss it? When they shut off all criticism and they shut off all discussion and then stand up and say, no, don't hate me, hate the ones that are making up their mind based on evidence, hate the ones that are willing to criticize those that are standing next to them and actually get them to answer for the things that are going on, to the point where I can make it happen. Why? Because when I criticize Steve and when I showed him this evidence is when he blocked me and turned me into the bad guy. And it's just sickening that there are skeptics out there, exposers of flat earthers or whoever out there, who still back him after that has happened provably.
Pushed her until he could pick at certain things that she said to twist them to use against her and push her to panic and fight back. And when she did, he cried social justice crybaby. But as he continually pushed her harder and harder, he desired more and more, as all evil actions do. When he didn't get enough of what he wanted and people started to turn away and ignore him, he reached out to Leslie Bass and manipulated her the same way he tried to manipulate me. Most likely, Steve is the one that convinced her that she couldn't stream and that it was okay to do a super chat drive. Leslie, being new to YouTube, agreed, and now here we are. So yes, I'm saying it's not Leslie's fault, and Leslie, I've said it the whole time. The sick thing is, after I release this video, he will probably turn on Leslie and throw her under the bus. And when he does, I'll be here and I'll stand up for her too, eventually. I'm not against her, or anyone else for that matter. I have done my job. I was asked to come in. I have gotten to the root of the problem. Can I criticize Katie? Yeah, I already have. I'll be uploading.
Did you hear what I said? I was asked to weigh in on this subject. I came in and got to the root of the problem based on the evidence. I did my job. I kept my word from the beginning of the situation even up to now. I've kept my word back to what I've done when I first started YouTube and maintained that all the way up to now. Of course my mind's going to change. I tell you that from the beginning of every story to the end. Of course I'm going to realize possibly that someone sitting right next to me is faking everything. But when I realize it, regardless of the amount of people that get mad at me, regardless of the threats of doxing and harassment, regardless of all the other things that come in, I'm not going to be afraid to stand up, pull that evidence up on that screen, and tell you exactly what it means and how I feel, my opinion, and show you the evidence. This is proof that he got exactly what I told him he would get. He can't handle being criticized. Just like every criminal, just like every asshole, just like every liar, every narcissist, every selfish person. He thought he could put pressure on me to shut me up, just like he's putting pressure on Reds, Breadshire, Team, and the others that are next to him. There's only one difference between me and them. I'm not willing to bullshit and lie just because I'm scared that I might lose a couple subscribers or that I might get threatened by a couple dirty, stinky, drunken Grinches.
Another video, but it'll come in at least a month because I'm leaving this stupid situation. Some of you will want to ask me how I feel about Steve after this, and I don't want to talk about him ever again, so I'll tell you how I feel now. You
wish that could have happened.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And once one has rabies, you can't cure it. It'll just fester forever and ever as they foam and drip from the mouth. Unirock out.
I don't know when I can go live again. I have not received an email to let me know when I can go live again. Okay, you guys, I'm literally doing Black Friday shopping right now, but I cannot live stream because I got hit with like a copyright.
She said, I heard a rumor that she might be having my chestnuts by
That's what I heard.
So,
And?
I don't, you guys, by the way.
Yes, you freaking do.
Ever since that video's come out, Versus Mode Part 2 in the Steve Mcrae arc of Versus Mode, he has done everything in his power to try to stop his audience from viewing it. I have challenged him repeatedly since it released to play it in front of his audience, share it to his audience, because if he's scared, if he's not scared of Versus Mode and the evidence inside of it, he would have no issue calling me out and saying, oh yeah, ding dong, I'm going to play your video, I'm going to react to it, and I'm going to stop and pause it every time you lie or every time you say something that's not true, and I'm going to call you out. He didn't. He won't. He is terrified of his audience finding that video. Terrified. You need to share it on Twitter, anywhere you can, on YouTube, on Facebook, in a Discord server. You need to share this everywhere you possibly can. Not because it'll do anything for me. If you notice, I don't think there's ads on it. I'm pretty sure it was demonetized because of the content. But even if it wasn't, I'm not going to get anything because another 50 or 100 people see it. But this is the turning point for Steve Mcrae. This is what is called, Steve, because I know you didn't understand what a Moab really was. This is what is called a Moab, mother of all beans, mother of all bombs. But we changed the bombs to beans because the QAnon guys back when we came up with this term used to say Moab a lot, and we took it from them to troll them. Anyway, it is the nuclear truth bomb that contains hard evidence to where if you strip away everything I'm saying and you just look at the evidence, it's more than enough to realize he purposely lied to make money non-stop through this story. Then go back and look at where he purposely lied in the non sequitur story. Then ask yourself how you're supposed to believe it, how you're supposed to still support him on it. Then go back and look at the other controversies that happened, like the 8 different women that have accused him of you-know-what. And then listen to the way he talks on his show around young women. Look at the way he treats young women that he gets angry with. Look at the way he treats somebody's girlfriend because he's scared to go at the guy, so he wants to go at the girlfriend to try to, make someone mad or pissy. Look at the way he acts through these things. And go back before that to where he stole the great debate community from the people that owned it before him so that he could monetize it on Patreon and on YouTube. I want to ask you a serious question. The whole topic tonight was, should we file to Team YouTube on Twitter a campaign of whatever creator that wants to band together to get their audience that choose to do it, not to be pressured, but for the ones that think this type of behavior is horrible for open discussion, open criticism, and what we do on YouTube to tag Team YouTube, not to delete him or censor him, but to do an investigation into him so that he can be held accountable for anything that he might have done wrong throughout this story. He did many things wrong. In fact, YouTube's new policy that was released on December 11th literally states that doing multiple videos over an extended period of time targeting one creator is now considered targeted harassment, even in YouTube's rules on their TOS. Therefore, we need to do this. That's the conversation tonight. But there's another point that I want to make. What could he do to make us change our mind? Like, he could just stop all of this, right? Like, let's say, what is he? What does he say he is? He's a guy that talks about the subjects that he likes that are centered around philosophy and atheism and agnosticism on YouTube. So if he was to go back to just doing that, never campaigning against other people on social media, Twitter or YouTube, always doing his brand, his thing, wouldn't we say, oh, let's just forget it? That's true. So let's ask ourselves this question. What has he done? And this is the last thing, and then I'm playing some fucking Tarkov. And we're watching some banger videos I've found, but what is his YouTube brand? Him, not non-sec, him. What has he done since he's been on the internet? What is his content? What is his videos? Because I've went back and looked. I've went back and found people that have criticized Steve since he first appeared on the internet and first started to behave this way, which was only like a month after he started. It is not the tale of a person that started to behave like this before people found him. This is a tale of a person who used the tactics that he uses to try to stop people from finding the truth about him so that he could put on a fake-ass act, a fake-ass mask. Wear that fake mask of the innocent old boom-boom living in the closet. Bad life, victimhood mentality. This is the problem. Most of the people that support Steve do not support the victimhood mentality, the SJW narrative. We need a mob of people to push our points because we can't push our points ourselves in a criticism video. It's not a natural group of people that have formed up because they enjoyed our criticism and agree with me. It is a group of people that have been depraved of facts told that truth exists, evidence exists that does not truly exist and will never be shown, and filing strikes, bullying, threats, doxing, harassment in order to hide the truth from those people. That is how he behaved like this in the early days and got away with it to go and team up with Kyle to do Non Sequitur. No audience before Non Sequitur, nothing. He starts Non Sequitur. What did he do on Non Sequitur? He was a fucking moderator. So throughout Non Sequitur, his content is moderating debates of more successful, famous people. Nobody goes to a debate and comes out the other end watching Aaron Raw versus Hovine and says, I'm going to go subscribe to that moderator. That moderator made this content. That moderator. Other than maybe James over at Modern Day Debate. He's probably the only one who differs from that statement. But so we can't use Non Sequitur as his content. It was a type of content where him and Kyle would have people come on. So it's a completely separate thing. What is his content? Before I finish, what is it? Well, what happened after Non Sequitur? He attacked Kyle for a few months. Okay, so we've got a basis for his content. Attacking Kyle. Did he stop attacking Kyle, or did he do anything different? Yeah, he did something different. The only thing he's done since Non Sequitur where you cannot attribute it toward him as content, you have to attribute it to the guests with the people that help out for the guests to speak and do their thing. He attacked Kyle, and then a couple months later, started attacking Katie. And then 8 months later, this happens. And then a couple months after this video, the one you're watching live right now, happens. His content is bullying, targeted harassment, lies, propaganda. That's his content. That is it. I don't feel bad one bit. Now, if I would have tried to do this 3 months ago, I'd have felt bad about it. If I would have tried to do this right after I put out this video, I would have told myself, no. In fact, I did tell myself no anytime someone brought it up. But after what I showed you in the beginning of this video, him still entertaining, attacking Katie's son, bringing Katie's son up, and arguing with people about it, banning people from his group, literally for saying, don't go after the kids, they're innocent in this, banning them for saying that. We've made up our mind. It is now the time. In the most extreme situations, YouTube allows us to go to Twitter and tag team YouTube. Before we do it, we're going to set a day, and I'm going to ask every creator that has been affected by Steve Mcrae and his lies, narcissism, threats, doxing, and harassment. I'm going to ask every creator out there who's been affected in any way from this if they would like to participate, to do a video all at the same time, all live, all telling our audience the factual things, the evidence that's there, and letting them know if they want to help out, we are going to just tag team YouTube, asking them to look into this. We're not going to ask for the result. We're not going to tell them what to do. We want Team YouTube to pay attention to the doxing, the harassment, the targeted harassment, the behavior that's going on behind the scenes, what Steve Mcrae is really making off of being monetized on the internet. And we're also going to ask people to email Patreon, and we're going to show them how to do it. Those two things happen. It does not equate to him being censored. It is just letting them know there's a massive issue that is not going away over a year. We are tipping into the year mark. Steve, if he was not doing this, if Steve Mcrae was just doing his content and was not doing the other things I have proven to you in the last while, Katie would not still be being harassed by all these people. The puzzle piece, the emperor in front of the empire leading the charge, causing this to happen, factually, provably, and in reality, you take Steve out of the equation, all these masses of people would not be chasing Katie everywhere she goes, doxing certain people, getting Anti-Ordinary's Twitter account, Discord server, and YouTube channel banned for the first two and struck like crazy with reports for the last thing I said. You wouldn't have Nate Brody's family and children being threatened. You wouldn't have Nate Brody having an accusation that he is molesting his kids. You wouldn't have Nate Brody's wife being threatened to be doxxed. You wouldn't have Heretic threatened to be doxxed and harassed. You wouldn't have my girlfriend being threatened and harassed. Take Steve Mcrae off the internet, or just he was sitting on the internet doing his own atheistic content, nothing else. You would have had none of these things happen. He is the catalyst. He is the thing that has made all of this happen, and I have already proven that by his own actions and behavior. There's not a single time any of this shit happens that he is not inciting it. He's recorded trying to dox people and helping people that are in the clip, threatening people with their location. And he's in the clip right after the threat happened saying, well, I was told his age, and his age is this, and that helps narrow down this, and that. He is the thing, the reason why people can't stand up and weigh in on these topics. They know they're going to have this kind of shit pushed against them. And that's why, and that and only that is why we are going to tag team YouTube, and we're going to email Patreon together later this week or going into the weekend. If you know a creator who's been affected by Steve Mcrae, you need to let my administrators, my moderators in my live chat know. Emailing me probably won't work. I haven't been checking my email in the last few days. I'm going to try to get to it here in a couple days. I got a lot to do, though. If you know of a creator that would like to, reach out to them. Ask them if they'd like to. Tell them what's going on. Let them know to come jump in one of my live streams or have one of their representatives jump in my live streams. I'll get them a Discord invite, whatever we got to do, and we are making this happen. That way, maybe YouTube will do something about it. Maybe they will strike him, or maybe they'll just give him a penalty, or maybe they'll delete him altogether, but whatever happens, I do think that if something happens, if they do something to him in the future, he'll think twice before he does this shit anymore. Like when he's sitting there, when he wakes up and he takes his freaking, like, whatever he takes every day. Yeah, probably. And then starts glugging and shit and smells his armpits and I would take a shower, but it's not time this month. I would wash my hair, but I only do that twice a year. After he wakes up and does all those things, and when he decides, am I going to sit down and harass someone's kid? And we're going to dox somebody's girlfriend? Are we going to threaten people? Are we going to go to closed private Facebook groups and try to lie and scheme? Or am I going to do atheist content, agnostic content, and commentary on the internet like I tell people is my content? Maybe he'll choose the latter. Maybe he'll choose to do his actual content if he receives a penalty or an action from the networks, from the people out there. And for God's sakes, all Onision had to do was share somebody's phone number to lose his whole Patreon. Imagine that Patreon takes one single look at anything Steve's done, from the video that he's got, right? The video of him doing that shit, to any of the other things. Like, how about they just look at what his Patreon is paying for? His entire YouTube channel of attacking Katie over the last year. I imagine they might enact a bit of a penalty. And I think it's the only thing that'll get him to stop. He has broken terms of service so many times at this point, and everyone just ignores it because we don't want to entertain censorship. I don't want to entertain censorship either, but if you think I'm not going to stand up when this dude continues to go after these kids, doxing, harassing, and bullshitting, then you're wrong. Eventually, it'll hit a crisis point, and if you think 10 months of doing it isn't a crisis point, you're nuts. Sorry, you are. If you think that if you are going to tell yourself that 10 months We should wait 11. We should wait 12. We should let him do it for 4 years. How long? 5 years? Does 5 years work? Because he'll still do it 5 years later, right? You know that. And you know what? He's not going to get mad about us doing this. You want to know why? Because he says that everything he does is normal. Everything he does is okay. Everything he does is within the rules. He's not going to get mad about us doing this. He's just going to giggle in his chair and say, ha, 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 I've followed all the rules. Your little reports are going to go unnoticed. Ha, ha, ha. I don't have anything to worry about. Ha, 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 ha. So he won't care. He won't flip out on social media. He won't get angry. He won't say anything in his little closed groups. He's not going to care that we're going to have this campaign and organize it together and make it work. And we are at least going to make sure that the networks hear us, and we're going to make sure that the networks decide to at least investigate. That's all. That's only fair. Now, here's my only issue. Here's my only issue with this. If you are a creator that agrees that it has gone too far, that he has lied, that manipulated, done these things that the evidence shows, and you agree with it, you are going to have to actually do this with us. Because I can't sit here every day and have my Discord server sitting there upset about these things that happen daily because of him. That's why he does it. All he craves is attention, whether it's good or bad. And that's all he wants. And I don't want kids brought into these types of YouTube dramas, these types of YouTube fucking bullshits. I don't want that. I want to be able to criticize somebody without that person threatening doxings and threatening crowd strikes. Anti-Ordinary lost her Discord server, her Twitter, and almost lost her YouTube account because she was willing to stand up and weigh in. Nate Brody, factually, provably, he can prove it, has been threatened with his family and accused of doing things to his kids. He was doxxed, and he called the person who doxxed him on the phone and talked to him. This isn't normal. This should never happen in a atheist or debate community, ever. It should never happen. And the reason it's happening is because Steve Mcrae encourages this behavior. He never speaks out against it. He sat on a live stream and agreed with them threatening me and with my location after threatening Rachel, after them sending those types of threats to me that were sent. He sat there, and when AT2 said it, he didn't say, you don't talk to people on the internet like that, especially not around me. He hasn't still to this, after he sobered up, still hasn't come out and said, knowing that it was said, knowing what happened, and he still hasn't criticized that behavior. That is why the people, the viewers that flock to him are willing to do these things. They're willing to dox, harass, threaten, and do these things because Steve never speaks against it or warns against it or disavows it. You know that that's the case. Give me a clip where he's actually fucking said that he's done with Jared after threatening someone based on their location. He's not. Neither is Reds. Forget the atheist and skeptic community, said Keon. It shouldn't happen in YouTube at all. In Keon, exactly, yes. All right. Other creators I mean it. We need to do this. Katie, Auntie, Nate, everybody out there that thinks that Steve Mcrae has turned into the monster here and has had any criticisms of him on very serious things or has witnessed the type of things that happen when you criticize Steve Mcrae, we have to do this. There's no way around it at this point. Why? Because it would be irresponsible if we didn't. It would be irresponsible if we didn't. If we wait, there is no doubt he's going to attack another kid, bring another kid into a fight, feed a kid's name down to a troll server where Look a Pig Tina decides to spam about that kid and troll about that kid and shit. Oh, by the way, have you ever wondered why Steve allows trolls like that around him but kicks people like Nate Brody out, calling Nate Brody a troll? Because he needs people like them so that he can do these things. If that's not enough evidence for you, I don't know what is. You know? But anyway, I want this topic over with. I want the drama to stop. I want it to be done. Let's hope to fucking God it is after this. Let's hope that the fucking that Patreon and YouTube actually start looking at Steve and then judge him off of what he's done. And let's hope that it fixes this situation. I think what we're going to do is watch the last couple videos I need to watch in order to get a video done. And then we are going to, let me make sure that I've got everything. I think Demi did a video, and I hope Demi talks about all this stuff that happened in it. I haven't only seen half of it, so I'm going to start at the halfway mark on Demi's video, I think. But Demi popped into my Discord for a second today and showed me some things and told me about how her Discord server, Twitter account, and other accounts have been struck and taken down. So yeah, we're going to probably take a look at that to some extent. If I opened it, did I open it? Yes, there it is. Micropene. Okay. I don't know what micropene is, but microprene here. And I think that's about it. Let's see. We've got it more than enough video to go until 3 or 4 in the morning. I need to be offline by around 3:30 or 4, I think. But anyway, looks like we got everything all right. We're good here. Now, that was a show. What you just got was a show. That's what I call a show. So, I need to go wee-wee. I'm going to go potty. Yeah, Streamlabs is on, Jimmy. Yeah, dude. Streamlabs has been, they have a few errors they're working on fixing. It's an issue with them and communicating with the YouTube API. I will try my best to reset Streamlabs right now for you, but if it doesn't work, it's because Streamlabs is trying to fix that issue. So let's see if I can get it working. Here we go. And let's see if this will make it work here. All right, let's see. Let me know. And because all of you didn't get to make any points because it wasn't working, I'm going to try, as you guys know, I'm going to try to initiate a 30,000 point payout to everyone here. Okay? So hold your breath. Hold your breath. Everybody start to spam the busy. Spam to the busy for good luck. Spam to the busy for good luck, because I'm about to issue where am I, Biz? I'm about to issue a 30,000 point payout to all viewers right now who is typing currently in the live chat. Somebody test Streamlabs, see if it kicked on. Points. Time. Uptime. Points. I don't think it's going to work, guys, but I'm going to try. And when it kicks on, I will try to add 30,000 points to everyone here. 30,000 rocks to everyone here. Come on, Streamlabs. Come on, Streamlabs. Come on, Streamlabs. Come on, Streamlabs. Keep trying to get Streamlabs to kick on here. Let me try her again. All right, I just tried to reset it again for you. Just tried to reset it again. Shit, did I close my audio player? I did. I'll just use this one. Come on, Streamlabs. Come on, Streamlabs. We'll try to get her going here in a minute. Let me grab a drink and go pee in the potty. Let me go pee. Whoa, did you see that? Wow. Streamlabs, damn.
This time I'm going to hand it over to my co-host Steve Mcrae, who will introduce the two
855 Big Dino. Extension 3 takes right straight to my cell phone. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Aaron, why don't you go ahead and take a minute or two, kind of tell people who you are and your positions on all this.
My name is Aaron Ra. I had it legally changed for my state Senate position, and because it's the name that I wanted to appear when I both ran for office, and of course also on my book. It's on all my publications for the last 10 years, and it's on my driver's license, my credit cards, Wikipedia, all of that. So I am the Southwest Regional Director of American Atheists, and I'm the director of the Phylogeny Explorer Project. And we do, my wife and I, we do educational videos, and I have a channel of 160,000 some odd subscribers where we counter creationism.
Okay.
And of course, my book.
Oh my God, he's sitting there breathing through the whole thing like, Jesus, it's so, ugh. Sitting there going, through his nose and stuff. Oh shit!
Book
Where's my
available on Amazon is The Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism, and is very highly rated. And Mr. Hovind is mentioned in it numerous times.
Oh, yay. Thank you, sir.
All right, awesome. So what we kind of figured was because of
Genetic diversity, that your infantile definition of what a religion is. And let's see how you've explored that.
You can look it up in any dictionary. Look it up in Wikipedia.
Well, I have actually looked it up in a lot of different dictionaries. When I took a course on comparative, or the history of comparative world religions, our professor there challenged us, saying that religion was something that he thought was impossible to define. I didn't think it was impossible to define.
Before we get going, I have for you some beautiful things. We've got P1901 fully decked out, fully maxed submachine gun to use tonight. We've got a BST MP99x19 submachine gun, several of them just for the shit of it. We've got fully decked out HK MP7A1, my favorite submachine gun that I've used up to now. Not fully decked, I'm sorry, but very decked. We've got a rusty old Vepper, single shot, shooting some very, very large Full Metal Jacket bullets. We've got the AK-74 with a decked out AK polymer grip with the ability to put a handle on it, which we will, after we buy a brand new stock and a brand new handle for it and get into the rounds to lay some fulls downs. We've got the AK-74U assault rifle. Really good for clearing rooms. Not as good as the other variants of the AK for long shooting, mid-range shooting, but it still gets the job done, son. With a beautiful XPS-3-2 holographic sight for laying down those ratty, scabby foals. Then we've got a brand new AK-74M with a very interesting MOEAKM handguard. This rifle is very beautiful and was created in a modernized assault rifle equipped with a side folding shoulder stock and side mount for optical and night scope wielding abilities. Then the coupe de la gras, I don't know if I said that right, of tonight's adventures is the SKS Advanced Semi-Automatic Carbine Hunting Rifle variant with a dual laser system to track those bullets right on the domes of the fools that stand against you, with the new Bravo A04 sighting long range scope. And if you notice, what's that on top of the Bravo? Well, that just happens to be the FFWB Weaver sight, so that I can do short range engagements or pop up to pop a long-ranged headshot with the advanced shoulder buttstock and a very elegant grip, we shouldn't have a single issue killing at least one fool, and we will top the night off with a very short-range scope on a very long-ranged bolt-action sniper rifle, the SV-98. But there's a trick here. Instead of using the SV-98 to make long-range shots, we're going to try to shoot fools close-ranged with it due to the immense power of this rifle. It makes one tapping fools very easy. Now, let's continue.
Fine, because I do classification and I understand the rules for how to classify things. And as a matter of fact, I made this a little easier. I posted a collection of definitions that are relevant to this subject some years ago, back in 2012. I put something called Offerings to the Atheist Dictionary, because these are words that are comically, or actually comically is correct, that are comically misrepresented whenever you're arguing with creationists. The definition of religion that I came up with by examining all the different things that are universal.
Also, tonight, we're going to be doing something funny. We are going to be doing a Tarkov challenge for you. Busy, do you mind playing a sound? You don't have any ready. Why not? It would make the stream better. That's why. It makes the stream more enjoyable. Also tonight, we will be doing some Tarkov challenges. The first challenge we'll try is the hatchling, where we spawn in with nothing on us but a hatchet, attempt to kill somebody in hand-to-hand combat and take their weapon, and then go around and kill others with whatever we find. We're going to try that several times. Also, we're going to do the pistol challenge, where we take a pistol in with nothing else and try to come out with a better gun than we went in with. That will be fun, won't it?
Universally accepted as religion by both their adherents and their critics are a doctrine of ritual traditions, ceremonies, mythology, and associated dogma of a faith-based belief system which posits a posthumous promise that some element of self, be it a soul or consciousness or memories, etc., may in some sense continue beyond the death of a physical being. Now, this applies to every religion that is universally accepted as a religion, and doesn't, and evolution, however, meets exactly none of these criteria. So I want to hear what you define as a religion, and how we can distinguish things that are not religion from things that are.
Okay, I would like to ask Kyle or one of the moderators to kind of keep time here, because Aaron keeps over-talking me and monopolizing the conversation. This is supposed to be a discussion. I would like equal time.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
He's asked you a question. We're going to give you ample time to respond to his question with a
Shut up, Grinchy Ding Dong.
direct answer for a direct question.
I have up on screen the definition from Random House Webster's College Dictionary, year 2000, page 1116. Religion. A set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe. That is what fits your religion of evolutionism.
Except that
to the
it
T.
doesn't.
It does. That's exactly
No, it doesn't, because evolution has nothing to do with the cause of the universe, nor certainly not the purpose of it.
Does it have to do with the nature of the universe, how things work?
How things work, yes.
Okay, well then you
But
have a
not
religion.
with the universe.
Okay. You believe that dogs, you believe that whales, I think it was elephants and pine trees are related. No one's ever seen an
eukaryotes, are they not?
No one's ever seen an elephant produce anything but an elephant.
They are both eukaryotes, are they not?
It doesn't matter. They're both living.
Why does it not matter?
They're both above ground. They both
Yes, and they're both eukaryotes, correct?
It doesn't matter. You're missing
It
the
certainly
point.
does matter. But
Okay.
the question is not whether it matters. The question is whether or not they are eukaryotes.
You're missing the point completely.
No. You are missing the point. Are they both eukaryotes, yes or no?
As far as I know, they are. That does.
Yes.
So does
Have
that
you ever
prove
seen
they're
a
related?
eukaryote give birth to a non-eukaryote?
Does that prove they're related?
Within the phylogeny, yes, it does.
Okay. Now, since you keep talking about phylogeny and said this is your area of expertise, I would like to just ask you. You're on a show called the Non Sequitur, which I think is classic. A non sequitur is a conclusion or statement that does not logically follow from the previous argument or statement. I think we can give examples of elephants producing elephants and pine trees producing pine trees. It does not logically follow that they are related.
Why would that not logically follow? I need to explain something to you that you've been repeating incorrectly for years. I've been listening to you get this wrong for 20 years, and I'm delighted that maybe I'm the first person out of all the people you talk to. It can't be that I'm the first person to address this, but I keep hearing you repeat this error. So let me address that now.
It is not an error. It is not an error.
The law of monophyly.
You are in error. You are in error, and I'm here to fix it.
You have no idea what I'm even going to say. And when I'm done saying
hold on, guys.
Won't have any idea what I said.
You have no idea, Aaron. You have no idea what you're saying. I will help you here. Religion is a belief, and you have a belief.
Made a life out of pretending, but that's not what we're going to do. I'm addressing your error. Just to be very clear.
Hold it. All right, you are the one pretending. You are pretending that a pine tree and an elephant are related. Come on, that's a pretend.
Okay. I don't need to pretend that. I'm trying to demonstrate something to you. I'm trying to explain something to you, and you're trying to talk over me to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, go back and listen to the tape. Who's talking over who here?
Okay, let's
talking over me. I'm trying to explain something.
Let's kind of keep this. Let's keep this to where everybody can follow. Okay.
Okay.
Kent, we're gonna let you. I'm gonna let you go and explain your thought process as to why Aaron is in error with that statement. So Aaron, please let him. Let him finish and then go from there.
Let's make sure we get the names right. It's Aaron. Aaron Ra is actually his name, not Aaron, not Eric, not whatever. It's Aaron.
Okay. Let's keep it on track so everybody that's listening can kind of follow, because you can't understand what either of you are saying when you're jumping in.
Correct.
So just let Kent finish out his thought, Aaron, and then we'll shoot over to you and you can counter. Okay.
A week ago, I asked you to ask Aaron what is the best evidence for evolution. He responded by saying it is systematic phylogenetics, and he said in his little 3-minute YouTube clip, the only way Hovind can counter that is to meet the phylogeny challenge, which no creationist will ever even attempt to do. Okay, first place, I'll help correct you a little bit here, Aaron. It is phylogenetic systematics, not systematic phylogenetics, but that's okay. According to evolution.berkeley.edu, all life on Earth is united by evolutionary history. We are all evolutionary cousins, twigs on the tree of life. Phylogenetic systematics is the formal name for the field within biology that reconstructs evolutionary history and studies the patterns of relationships among organisms. Unfortunately, history is not something we can see. That is correct. Phylogenetic from the dictionary just Googled it on Google here, relating to the evolutionary development and diversification of a species or group of organisms, or of a particular feature of an organism, for instance, the teeth or the bone structure, etc. And I'm holding in front of me, I'll show it from Encyclopedia Britannica 2005, a phylogenetic tree based on the nucleotide differences in the gene for cytochrome C. And they have all these creatures with lines drawn between them, showing that a human, a monkey, a dog, a horse, a pig, etc., and a moth and a screwworm and a tuna are all related to a common ancestor. They draw these lines on the paper, and that becomes their cytochrome. I'm curious, why did they choose to use the phylogenetic tree based on cytochrome C? Why did you make a tree based on the number of chromosomes, or based on the adult body weight, or based on life expectancy, or based on life or gestation period, or based on average number of offspring, or based on the number of teeth?
To focus on derived synapomorphies.
All of these things are features, and if you do a phylogenetic tree on any of these things, you get a wildly different tree. For example, penicillin has 2 chromosomes. Houseflies and tomatoes both have 12. If you did a phylogenetic tree, you would say houseflies and tomatoes are identical twins.
Easy.
They are not identical. Humans have 46 chromosomes, and chimpanzees and tobacco both have 48. So if you did a phylogenetic tree based on anything other than what you want to believe, that there's somehow a relationship, you would get wildly different answers. So I think the evidence shows very clearly that you're choosing a select you can arrange things in any kind of order you want and draw lines between them, but all the phylogenetic trees are nothing but lines on paper that somebody decided to make a relationship, like you think a pine tree and an elephant are related. That's a line on a piece of paper, Aaron. That's not science. Science is something we observe, we study, we test, we demonstrate. Everybody that's ever done it will tell you elephants make baby elephants, no exceptions. Now, if you choose to believe, and I emphasize the word believe because it is a religious belief that you have, that elephants and pine trees are related, that's fine. I don't care what you believe. But I resent paying for that to be taught to all the kids in the school system. That is not science. That's a religion in every sense of the word. Go ahead.
In no sense is that a religion, because it is not faith-based, it's evidence-based. And it has nothing to do with any purpose for anything, much less anything to do with the beginning of the universe or what came prior to it. Nor does it require a belief. I would suggest that we both start from not believing anything and just review the possibilities. And one of the things we have to look at is the law of evolutionary law. This is the one that Ernst Mayr described as Darwin's second law of common ancestry. This is where he says that multiplication of species is Darwin's third law, and this is the one that I refer to as biodiversity. In either case, it means that one species may diversify into 2, into 4, and 8, and etc., but that in every daughter lineage, evolution is just a matter of superficial changes being compiled against successive tiers of fundamental similarities. And it is those tiers of fundamental similarities which can be interpreted as derived synapomorphies, which is what they're basing the phylogeny on. I have heard creationists argue that a watermelon is 98% water and a cloud is 100% water, and so a watermelon only missed being a cloud by 2%. Or that we could classify an octopus as being an ink pen since it spits ink, and we can classify it as a spider because it has 8 legs, and these are all deliberate attempts to avoid the fact.
Ken?
Avoid the fact of what? That an octopus is related to an ink pen? What?
Do you understand the law of monophyly? But as I just described, it means that you can't outgrow your ancestry. That means at no point in evolutionary history did one kind, which doesn't exist, ever become another kind, which doesn't exist either.
You just told me that elephants and pine trees are related. You do
Right, and they're
believe
still
different
eukaryotes,
kinds.
aren't they?
So that's all
So
it
they're
takes.
still eukaryotes, aren't they?
So that proves they're related.
Are they still eukaryotes or no?
Yes. Does that prove
Okay,
they're
good.
related?
And they never became a different kind, ever, did
So
they?
your definition of kind would include a pine tree and an elephant as the same kind of creature.
Are they both eukaryotes or no?
Are you drunk?
Are they both eukaryotes?
Yes.
Okay,
This
then
is
they are both
insane.
the same kind in that respect, right?
That's nobody's definition of kind. Ask a
Are you sure?
5-year-old.
What
Ask a
happens when we
5-year-old.
look at the Bible, for example, what the Bible says about kinds?
The
How
Bible
many
says
different...
it
Yeah,
said-
the
oh,
Bible
listen,
mentions the
listen,
beast kind.
10
I'm curious
times.
about that.
Okay, no, wait a minute. 10 times in
We're
Genesis.
talking about the beast kind. Can you
Well, let me-
identify what is and isn't in the beast kind?
Well, let me tell you what you asked. What the Bible says. The Bible, in the very first chapter, Genesis chapter 1, 10 times says they will bring forth after their kind. So the kind has to do with bringing forth, and I can help you here. I taught biology. Elephants and pine trees cannot bring forth.
Because
Whether
of
they're
the
eukaryote-
evolutionary law of monophyly, we have
No,
one cannot
no.
become a different kind. You can speciate. You can get to a point where you have speciation, where they no longer can interbreed with the parent stock or maybe with their sister species, but they didn't become a different kind. They are
Okay,
still the parent category that they belonged to, and this applies
Yeah.
to everything in the human phylogeny. We still
not?
belong to every one of our ancestral clades.
Ken,
Well,
explain to everybody what you mean by kind, so that we're all on the same page.
Well,
Aaron just explained what he meant, so you kind of go through what.
And Ken, can you explain in kinds in reference to what Aaron's saying in regards to monophyletic clade? When he's talking about Meyer's law of monophyly, could you kind of join them together to explain your version of a kind in relationship to something in a monophyletic clade?
Well, let's take this one question at a time. The Bible 10 times in Genesis chapter 1 mentions the word kind, and 10 more times in the flood story, Genesis 6 and 7. So 20 times in the first 7 chapters, it talks about Noah bringing the animals, in the 6 and 7, chapter 6 and 7, bringing the animals onto the ark after their kind. So it has to do with bringing forth, and for them to get 2 of each kind on board the ark. I can assure you a pine tree and an elephant are not the same kind of animal in the biblical way of thinking, or in anybody
Are
else.
either one of them in the beast kind?
A pine tree is not in the beast kind, no.
But
So
an
a pine tree
elephant is?
An elephant is a beast. It's a beast of the earth.
Okay,
Yes,
how
it's an
many
animal.
different types of beasts are within the elephant or within the beast kind?
Well,
And
I
how
think there
can
are-
we distinguish them?
Well, the current estimate is there are 7,000 or 8,000 kinds of animals on land.
How many
who
of them are
breathe- who breathe
beasts?
air. That would be
How many
7,000.
of them belong to the beast kind?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Okay, so we
But
have
the- but
kinds within kinds?
Well,
There are
we
different
have-
kinds of beasts? There's not just the beast kind. There's also kinds of beasts within the beast kind?
Well, that's a great question. But see, I'm not asking for my theory to be taught at taxpayer expense. You are. So the
Well,
burden
yeah,
of proof's
and the
on
one
you.
I have is actually
Hold on one sec-
it's
hold on.
actually justified, and yours is not. You're arguing for kinds, which means did you catch when I said that the only way to address this would be to address the phylogeny challenge? Did you follow that? Do you even know what the phylogeny challenge is?
I do, but let's just fix
Okay,
it back
what is
to
the phylogeny challenge?
Arn, hold on
No,
1 second, Arn.
you're-
Let him finish. Let him finish out an answer. Go ahead, Kent. We're going to give you the
You're-
time to finish out your answer, and
Well,
Arn,
you-
let him.
Yeah,
let him
you're
get it out.
bringing up 5 or 6 topics. Okay, I will stand by the Bible, which says very clearly the animals bring forth after their kind. Therefore, the ability to bring forth seems to be directly related into deciding what exactly is a kind. I think we could demonstrate. Let me show up some pictures here we're going to video this for people. There are 200 recognized species of squirrels in the world. They are the same kind of animal called a squirrel. That's from
Is there
National
anything
Geographic.
other than squirrels that are in that kind?
In the squirrel kind, I don't know.
Is there a squirrel? Okay, so there's a squirrel kind. So God created a primordial group of a pair, I guess, of squirrels.
That could
then-
see.
And then he created is there a chipmunk kind as well?
Now, whether the chipmunk and squirrel are related would be a good study for biology. But
Yeah,
I think
it would. It would define what a kind is.
Sure.
So did God create 2 rodents that wait, there's a rodent kind. So now we have squirrels, we have chipmunks, do we have rabbits in that? Are we going to put lagomorphs into that same kind as well?
And you're talking over me again. I don't interrupt you. Now listen, there are 200 recognized species, and I'll use the word species, of squirrels. I think they're probably all interfertile. There are 350 breeds of horses. You get into different names here, what they mean. What is a breed name? What is a species? What is a family, a genus, a kind? The biblical definition of kind was given, or the word kind was used way before Carolus Linnaeus was ever thought of. So Carolus Linnaeus came up with our current classification system. There are the horses, for instance, the horse, the zebra can interbreed. The ass, the Shetland pony, you can get a zebra, a shebra, a zebrass, a zedonk, a zeonki, a zorse. They probably are the same kind. I don't know exactly where the line is, but I think it's pretty obvious in most cases that.
Well, clearly
that
not.
Wait, for heaven's sake, Aaron, you think a pine tree and an elephant are the same kind? What on earth is wrong
But
here?
you think there are kinds within kinds, and that we have the squirrel kind and we have the chipmunk kind, both within the rodent kind. So it sounds like you're defining what clades are, which of course would all connect to each other, because trees and elephants are both eukaryotes, as we said. So at what point do we get to where God created a primordial pair who then diversified into all these other clades?
Well, that, like I said, would be a great field of study.
That's the phylogeny challenge.
Well,
So
the
you have to
phylogeny-
show me, and I made a video about this for anybody that's curious. Please look up the phylogeny challenge. It is the death knell for all creationist arguments because it can't be
Whoa.
addressed.
So Arn, you're
death-
asking in the phylogeny challenge for the original type of pair that created all the other supposed kinds and subclassifications.
Yeah, if there's any truth, if there was any truth to creationism whatsoever, or if the theory of evolution was fundamentally flawed in any way, then there would have to be a point where, as Kent does, he accepts a certain degree of phylogeny, but it has to trace back to an original set of created kinds. And it can't be, well, that would be an interesting question since they're both rodents, and both rodents are eutherians, and all eutherians are mammals, and you can trace it all the way back to eukaryotes.
Would that have
So
to
where
actually
is the
include
dividing
speciation
line?
rates too? For the
I'm sorry?
phylogeny, with the phylogeny challenge, would that also have to show and demonstrate speciation rates to show this original mating pair to diversify
Oh
to
my
all
God,
these
you're
species
such-
that are out
shut
there relating
up.
to whatever the original kind that Ken is referring
God,
to?
stop
the
talking.
Rate, the speciation rate isn't really relevant unless you put a time constraint on it.
Yeah, it's not
7,000 years.
relevant. Ding dong.
Okay,
Well, yeah, if he's going to imply his own time constraint, then he has this issue
Okay.
that he would have to address as well, because that's
Okay,
just going to further complicate his position.
I will gladly address that if you stop interrupting and bringing up 20 more topics. Okay.
It's the
Now-
same topic. It's been the same topic.
Okay, the Bible says they will bring forth after their kind. I will make the statement that probably Noah had 2 squirrels on the ark. They have diversified into 200 species of squirrels. Black ones, white ones, brown ones. That is not evident, and that could happen in 4,400 years. We have 339 breeds of dogs that have been developed in the last 300 years. Yes, it can happen very quickly. There are biological factors, like the Kaibab and the Abert squirrel, just by geographic isolation across the Grand Canyon, have developed and look pretty different. Whether they're still reproductively capable, I don't know. To put them together and find out. There are 800 breeds of cattle recognized worldwide, and they fall into 2 main types, according to Wikipedia just a couple days ago, yesterday, okay? So 800 breeds of cattle, I think we would agree, are probably the same kind of animal. Noah might have had 10 cows on the ark, or 20, and we now have 800 breeds. I don't know what he had on the ark. I'm not asking for mine to be taught at taxpayer expense. But if you think a cow and a pine tree are related, and an elephant and a bacteria, I think that's a stretch of anybody's imagination. I have some pictures here of, for instance, the different cats in the cat family. Here's a jag lion, the cross between a jaguar and a lion. So possibly the jaguar and a lion are the same biblical kind. There's a bobcat lynx cross. There are 30 recognized breeds of chickens in the world, and it says the jungle fowl is the original bird from which all varieties and strains of domesticated chickens are derived. Man has developed domesticated chickens. Some lay more eggs, some have more meat, some live longer, some produce more offspring. They can select for what certain characteristic that they want, but they're still a chicken. And a 5-year-old knows that. They could recognize right away the difference between a chicken and a pine tree. Why you can't, I don't know. But
what do you mean I
different.
can't? I just read to you the law of monophyly, which shows that you can't, there's always going to be a chicken. It's never going to not be a chicken. All its descendants, no matter how much they change, they're going to still be chickens. Why? Because of the law of monophyly. And those chickens are still going to be neonate birds. They're still going to be birds. Not the bird kind, because the Bible doesn't describe what a kind is. Matter of fact, it says there's all sorts of birds, and it doesn't describe what a sort is either. But we have the idea that we have all kinds of birds. So we have kinds within kinds, which sounds like it's describing the same thing as clades, but the difference being, and this is the important thing that you keep missing, is that there has to be a point where they're not all related. So it says all kinds of birds, implying that there's different kinds of birds. So there were individual creations, yet they're all birds. So why are they not the bird kind?
Well,
so can you give me those? Give me a distinction between kinds.
You mentioned the law of monophyly. What is the ancestor between the pine tree and the elephant? What did that ancestor look like, and why didn't it always bring forth after its kind? Why did it diversify? It did. You mean an elephant and a pine tree are still the same kind?
That's right. They're still eukaryotes.
Okay. Well, I can help you recognize. If you get confused any time, I can show you which is a tree and which is an elephant. I think probably.
I can do that too. I can do that too. See, you've described evolutionary principles for the last 5 minutes. I've no contest with that. I'm waiting for the creationist principles to come in.
I think I've told you several times. The Bible says if they can bring forth, they are the same kind.
Unless they've now speciated. Would you? And you accept that? I've seen in some of your other videos. You accept that speciation happens, so they can no longer bring forth.
Speciation happens, but it's within very strict limits. There are 200
what are the
species.
limits?
Well, there are 200 species of squirrels. Someday there may be 500 species of squirrels. That doesn't.
And what are the limits?
Squirrel. I think the limit is called squirrel. They're always going to be what's called a
because
squirrel.
of the law of monophyly. They're always going to be eukaryotes too. They're always going to be mammals. They're always going to be eutherians. None of those things are going to change.
So
you still belong to every clade your evolutionary ancestors did. There was no point where you stopped being what they were. You can't grow out of your ancestry.
So I am still a pine tree.
Did I say or imply in any way that you were descended from a pine tree?
You said I'm still a eukaryote, and so are the pine trees.
Are you telling me that you are not a eukaryote?
Are you a pine tree?
Did I tell you that all eukaryotes are pine trees?
Yes, so are you a pine tree?
I told you. Can somebody back up the tape? When did I tell Kent Hovind that all eukaryotes are pine trees?
No, I didn't. You said no.
What
You
he
didn't
said,
say.
Kent, what he said for clarification, what he said was that all pine trees are eukaryotic. They're all eukaryotes, but not all eukaryotes are pine trees. Correct?
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
But your ancestors.
So at no point in your evolutionary history did a eukaryote give birth to a non-eukaryote. So, and the same thing applies throughout. So all the hundreds of times that in the last 20 years you kept saying a dog never produces a non-dog. I'm sorry, that's always been wrong. That's always been a straw man. That has never been a correct criticism of evolution. That has been a description of an evolutionary law which you have failed to understand these decades.
All right, we're doing a hatchet
I think
run.
I completely understand
but
it.
I've got a few
Dogs
pieces of
always
junk to take in on the hatchet run.
And we'll now do so again.
Let him get it out.
I might grab a pistol. I think I
will
got
say
enough
it
to grab
again.
a
You
cheap
haven't
pistol.
understood it in 20 years, but dogs do always produce dogs. Do you know of an exception to that?
Because of the evolutionary law of monophily, that is true. And dogs remain canoidian carnivores. They never became a non-carnivore when they produced the first dogs. Still a carnivore. Still a member of every one of its parental kids. Same thing with cats. Phalloidian carnivores are still carnivores. Dogs, cats, both carnivores.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Are pine trees carnivores?
Because carnivora is limited to a subset of mammals and trees are not even animals, no.
But you think elephants and pine trees and dogs are related?
Still eukaryotes, yes.
So, but at some point they became carnivores. Something happened.
Yes, that's correct. And I've got a series of videos explaining the evolutionary stages of that, if anybody listening to this cares. It's called The Systematic Classification of Life, where I go through some of the major clades. We're up to episode 24, and we've just now gotten to mammals. So there's another dozen or so videos in that series at least to come.
That ought to be exciting. Okay, so pine trees and elephants and dogs are related. At some point, the ancestor of whatever that ancestor looked like, diversified, and obviously elephants and dogs and pine trees look different today and behave differently and are now in certainly different species. I would assume different families and maybe
families,
even kingdoms. Well, they're different kingdoms, plant and animal kingdom, aren't they?
The families and kingdoms really don't matter. Those are Linnaean constructs, and they're not really applicable. So the only thing that has a hard definition, the thing with the hardest definition is species. So everything else, all of these other taxonomic groupings, these grades that Linnaeus came up with, they serve only as signposts anymore, because he wasn't aware of how many increments there were between each of these different levels.
So Carolus Linnaeus was not aware that a pine tree was different than an elephant?
Let's try this. Obviously, you're trying to misrepresent this as much as you can, because I never said anything like that. However, you did mention the 5-year-old could tell them apart. Now, what were the examples that you gave? A dog, an elephant, and a pine tree?
Do you think a 5-year-old could tell the difference between those?
Yeah, I think a 5-year-old doing the old Sesame Street game of one of these things is not like the other could probably pretty easily depict that the pine tree is the odd one out. Would you agree with that?
Very good. You're slowly getting it. There's hope. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. I can't imagine that anybody, even in your following,
so good, bro. It's
could
so
possibly think that you're the one that understands this and I'm not.
I think they all believe I understand it and you don't. But go ahead.
Okay. Using the same description, you can find other things that are closer and eliminate the dog from the elephant by finding things that are closer to those. Using that same simple principle, once you realize derived synapomorphies, which things matter, which things don't. You can't decide that a certain type of parrot isn't a parrot because it's green, for example. You can't make up arbitrary rules like that. If you want to categorize any collective, you have to find the traits that are already contained within every member universally accepted in that set before you can decide whether some new addition belongs there or not. Do you understand that?
Well, let's say we're going to accept the traits of an animal to be something.
Okay, so you didn't answer that question.
Well, you've asked me about 14 questions here and
left
them
that one question. You didn't answer that one question.
Well, let's
you
go
came
back
up
to
with
the original.
You've got another question instead of the answer.
Well,
that's all right. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. You change the subject however you want.
Go back and listen to this tape, Aaron. You changed the subject repeatedly.
No, I'm still on the same subject, and you're trying to derail. But go ahead. Change it. Whatever subject.
How about we do this? Because a lot of crosstalk. Aaron, ask your question again, very directly, very succinctly, and then we'll have Kent directly answer that single solitary question, not going back to anything that's been previously discussed up to date. Just what question did you just ask that you want him to have
that's pretty.
Well, no, I didn't get to answer the very first one yet about what is a species or what is a biblical kind. I'm trying to answer
let's
that.
Start there, because that is the same. That topic has not changed. It's the same thing I've been talking about since the beginning. He thinks it's multiple subjects.
You guys
not.
Are watching.
It's just he has no clue what he's talking about.
Ooh, look at that bad boy.
Let's get back to the one and only
fuck?
subject we've been discussing so far. Identify kinds as distinguished from other kinds. Give me a couple of different species, for example, that we can identify as being different created kinds. Things that ideally scientists would consider closely related. Not as far apart as you can find them, but something that scientists would say, well, these are both in this group, and you say, no, these are both individual creations. Give me that example.
Okay, I have in front of me a picture that I got from the internet 2 days ago showing carnivora which includes panthers, the skunk, the otter, the familiar dog, the Canis familiaris and Canis lupus, the wolf, and they have lines drawn connecting them all to a common ancestor. And I would like to point out that in the panther kind, there are, according to A to Z Animals.com, 7 different subspecies of leopard, which differ in their appearance. The African leopard is the most common. I would suspect those 7 different leopards had a common ancestor, and it was a cat. Okay.
Okay. So let me ask for clarification purposes. When I say kind, and you say kind, we are obviously talking about something different.
Correct.
Now, you are describing, though you aren't aware of it, you are describing a clade. And when I use the word kind as distinguished from clade, the only difference is that the kind begins with a special creation. So a kind will not be part of another larger kind. You follow me?
I don't think the cat kind is part of the pine tree kind. Yeah,
okay,
I think
so
they're different.
the answer was a yes or no question about whether you follow this. Evidently, you do not. Do you understand that a kind is the beginning of a clade, the crown of a clade, from which there is no commonality? So that these two, if you wanted to start with squirrel, if you want to call it a kind, then God created 2 squirrels, and then he separately created chipmunks and everything that is squirrel-like within that division of rodents, and then the parent category of rodents.
Yeah, I've never studied to see if a chipmunk and a squirrel could have a common ancestor. What is their chromosome number? Is it possible they had a common ancestor?
That's
maybe.
What the phylogeny challenge is. It's to establish what a kind is, and a kind is not a clade. So if you're talking about parental groups from which that include all of their descendants, and that's what you're describing, then you're describing clades, not kinds. The difference between a clade and a kind is that the kind is a clade that begins with a special creation. So give me an example of 2 different kinds, 2 different special creations where those clades began with those special creations, but which science would consider closely related or within a parental clade.
Would you agree that the 7 different leopards of the world probably had a common ancestor and it was a leopard?
No.
You don't agree with that? Okay.
Well, no, I agree that the leopards would have a common ancestor that was a leopard, and that all panthers also have a common ancestor with other cats, and that macrodonts also have a common ancestor with panthers and felines, because there's 3 different distinctions for cats, and that the nympherids also are related to cats with a common ancestor, and that we get to further down, we also have viverids included, and then we also have caninoids, which are the dogs, the bears, the weasels, the seals. All of these are genetically linked. It's not just lines on paper. And if you think that phylogenetics is just drawing lines on paper, then yeah, we need to have a long talk and this is it. So at what point could you show me 2 different created kinds?
I am splurging tonight.
That don't share.
You know it, dude. Hey!
Okay.
Good to see you, Pro Lib. What's up, Pro Lib? Kicking back and chilling, Jimmy? Me too, my dude. Me too. I got stuff to do right around 5 a.m. I either got to go offline around 3:30 or so or stream up until around 5. But either way, we got a video to release today, so got to go out at 5, go in town and do a couple things, get back, schedule the upload. Be a good day. Gonna be a good day today. Oh, sorry.
I think the created kind, let's take the pine tree leopard example here, since we're on that. You believe they had a common ancestor. I do not. I think pine trees, I don't know how many varieties, I didn't look it up. How many pine trees are there? A lot. I mean, there's the loblolly, the longleaf, there's probably 1,000 varieties of pine trees. Now, whether they had a common ancestor or not is interesting. I don't know, but let's assume that they did. If we can get 1,000 varieties of pine trees from an original pine tree, that is not evidence that a pine tree and a leopard are related.
It is evidence, however, that all of these conifers had a common ancestor, is it not?
I agree. They probably
So
did.
can you find me, same question, repeating the same question again, which you clearly you have demonstrated you do not understand the question, so I'm phrasing it again.
Okay.
I want you to give me not just another description of a clade, which you mistakenly refer to as a kind. No, that's not what a kind is. That's a clade. A kind is where the clade begins with a special creation. Can you give me 2 special creations that science would consider to be in the same parent category?
Probably the 4 different. I don't know if I had my next picture here shows that 4 different species of skunks. I mean, because this picture showed a skunk and a leopard as being related.
Yes, because skunks are mustelids, which are a subset of Conoidea, and then your panthers, again, a subset of Phyloidea, both within order Carnivora. So are you suggesting then that God created skunks but did not create any of the other weasels around it, that all other mustelids, or did he create a common ancestor of mustelids? And then we have to look at the common ancestor of mustelids along with the other related groups within Conoidea. Is mustelid, is a skunk your created kind, or is mustelid your created kind? Which is it?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think this textbook shows the otter also is in here, next to the skunk as being related. There are 13 varieties of otters. And they have
I gave you a hint that you needed to look up the phylogeny challenge before you address this, and you don't even know what the phylogeny challenge is.
The phylogeny, as I've clearly demonstrated, is drawing lines on paper.
Challenge.
Yeah, Ken, let's try to clarify. He's not talking just about phylogeny. He's asking you, do you know what his phylogeny challenge is, which is something he has issued, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, dealing with the original kinds for what would be the beginning of a clade for the creationist point of view, along those lines?
Yeah, I set it up so that most people who visit my channel would see the phylogeny challenge video first thing.
Sure. You want to know what the original created kinds were and how that is distinguished from the other created kinds, and what prevents them from being connected. Is that
no? The second part of the question is irrelevant.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can show me created kinds, then it wouldn't matter how that clade diversifies after that, or the number of subset clades within that, because you can have new clades erupt within those old clades, and they're still going to belong to the parent clade that they always were. And the same goes through entire evolutionary phylogenies, every one of them. They remain belonging to every ancestral category that their ancestors ever did. There was never became a non-dog. That argument is invalid. So show me 2 created kinds that science would consider within the same parental clade.
Hold it. If they never became something other than their parents.
Because of the law of monophyly that I just described. It's an evolutionary law.
So if there was something then that was the ancestor of pine trees and elephants where we started this conversation, obviously something happened. And what this is, nobody's ever observed this. See, science, I guess my definition of science is very different than yours. Science is things we observe, study, test, and demonstrate.
And that is exactly my definition as well.
Okay, then so far, every farmer
and we
in the
can
world,
observe, study, test, and demonstrate that the most primitive and simplest plants are in fact single-celled, and that they are eukaryotes.
And you think
and if we just teach the facts, if we teach the observable, testable, verifiable facts about this, then we come up with what Linnaeus came up with when he discovered a tree of life that should not exist. He was a creationist. He had no idea, no concept of evolution. In his time, species were immutable. You couldn't derive a new species, and yet he was seeing a tree such as you're currently describing. You don't realize it's cladistics that you're talking about, but that's what it is. He didn't have a concept of that, and he couldn't explain it. That's why he turned to the scientific community and challenged them to explain, why is he seeing this?
So did Linnaeus think that pine trees and elephants were related?
No. He was a creationist, but he did think that apes and people were the same thing, indistinguishable, and he challenged the scientific community to find him a generic difference that accords to the laws of cladistics, or not cladistics, of taxonomy. And they couldn't. So they arbitrarily created a class of Pongo, just to ease their own conscience about it. But then, of course, in the last 20 years or so, genetics has confirmed that there is no such thing as a separate family for the non-human apes. We are still apes.
Okay, I think it was dictionary.com or whatever, the word definition of cladistics, since you're trying to equate that with kinds. A method of classification.
I'm not. I want to clarify. You are the one who is doing that. I am distinguished. No, yes. You are using the word. You're using the word kind to describe clades, and you are habitually avoiding the actual definition. A kind would be a clade that begins with a special creation. I distinguish these. You're the one equating them. Do not accuse me of making your mistake.
Well, let me just read you the dictionary definition of cladistics, okay, where clades come from. A method of classification of animals and plants according to the proportion of measurable characteristics that they have in common. It is assumed that the higher the proportion of characteristics the two organisms share, the more recently they diverged from a common ancestor. So cladistics
that would not be a scientific definition. I can help you with that. The scientific definition is a classification, as I previously described, with all of the criteria that each of these groups should have. You have to make a total tally of everything that is included within that group before you decide whether something else belongs there. But the key word, which is not in your layman's dictionary, is that the cladistics is a classification that includes all its descendants. It doesn't make special exceptions for certain ones. For example, the clade animal, which is formerly known as metazoa, is multicellular eukaryotes with an internal digestive tract. Well, this is the simplest definition. That's what an animal is. That applies to you. Right?
Oh my God, I hit the wrong fucking button. I gotta get out of here.
Tract. Yes, sir, I do.
Yes, and you're a multicellular eukaryote. So by definition, then, you are an animal. So there was no point in your evolutionary ancestry that an animal gave birth to a non-animal. Because of the law of monophyly, you are still an animal, and you always will be.
But hold it. An elephant and a pine tree, something happened. One's no longer an animal.
Well, let's just
clarify
this, because I think they're
common
past each
ancestor.
other, and I think Arn's asked this like multiple times, and I want to make sure that everybody gets equal time on this. So let's for clarification purposes, Arn, real quickly, can you explain what you mean by monophyletic clade, but specifically towards Kent's kind definitions? What I think we need to isolate is that all the things you've talked about, the pine tree and mammals, are still eukaryotic, right? They're different kinds of eukaryotes, right? But they're still eukaryotic. And they came from something in evolutionary theory that was non-eukaryotic at one point, right? They have a shared
we don't even have to get into the genetics of the fossil record at this point. I mean, there's or embryology or any of the other things that confirm phylogenetics. We're just looking at the simple character. We're looking at what Carolus Linnaeus would look at. So the commonality between the pine tree and the elephant is that they're eukaryotes.
Right.
Neither one started from an animal. Being a eukaryote doesn't mean animal. So it means it's referring to a cell that has a nucleus, right? And so that never changed. Now, at some later point, after the division between plants on one side and the animals on the other, then we have many further divisions before we get to trees and then conifers and then pine trees. Just like we have many further divisions before we get to eutherian mammals and elephants and so forth.
Okay, so can you address that specifically for the audience, please? Because you do agree that trees and animals are all eukaryotic, right, Kent?
Correct. Well, they all have a cell with a nucleus. That is correct. Plant cells and animal cells, they're very different in many other ways, but yes, they both have a nucleus. So that proves we're related. So because we both are eukaryotes, therefore elephants and pine trees are related. I'm just completely baffled at how a grown person could believe that.
I just mentioned that there are other categories that we can use. We're only
Exit
right now
campers,
looking
bro.
at linear characteristics.
Sure.
We haven't
Am I
gone into
dying?
genetics or embryology or the fossil record or any of that. We're
Don't
just
think I'm
looking at the
dying.
characteristics right now.
Okay,
So
I would
we
say
have to consider, we want to make sure that we don't adopt a belief at the onset, because of course that would be dishonest. And it would be dishonest to throw out any evidence that flies against whatever belief you want to adopt at the onset. So we're better off both not having a belief to start with.
Okay,
and
well, let's start.
Look at the facts and the possibilities.
Okay, let's look at the facts. Pine trees are made up of cells, all of which, originally, the ones that are still living anyway, have a nucleus. The dead ones, of course, the internal tree no longer has that. But Yes, and elephants are made up of cells, and they have nucleus. I can look at that and say, this proves we have a common designer. This system works really good.
You don't have to go
Cells.
that far. You don't even have to.
I
You
don't
can
have
construct an entire tree of life, as Linnaeus did, without making that assumption. And you still
you
come
could-
to the same inescapable fact.
You could also construct a tree of life and say, wow, look at the designer gave all this stuff the ability to reproduce
Then again,
varieties.
you're making an assumption that is unjustified. We have to look
You're-
at possibilities as well. Okay, so
Okay.
in order to say, and I know that you know that not everything is possible because you've said many times about things that you don't understand that you think are impossible. So you know that we can't just say that anything is possible. You know that there's a limit, that there are things that are not possible. So we have to look at, before we can say that something is possible, we have to verify that the possibility exists. There has to be a precedent or a parallel or a verified phenomenon to indicate that such possibility exists. Now,
So
we know
what-
that evolution happens. We've seen how it happens. We know various different aspects about it. We know quite a lot, actually, about the evolutionary process and the evolutionary history and so forth. And so we know that these things occur. They're observable, demonstrable, verifiable, repeatable directly. Now, do we have a possibility for magic imaginary friend using a conjuration spell?
You have already said several things which I would have to disagree with. We do not know that evolution happens by my definition.
Okay,
of
so
evolution.
you're saying,
Hold on, Aaron,
that
hold
the
on. Let him
definition that we've already
let him
had.
finish the answer.
You-
Let him finish
you-
out his answer.
Okay. You, in your mind, you know evolution happens. In my mind, I have a different definition of that. I think variations happen within the same kind, but they're limited to that kind. For
Yeah, but there's
instance,
no definition of kind still given. That was the core of what we've been
Right.
talking about for the last half hour, is trying to get you to define a kind as distinguished from a clade. Now, I've given the definition, and I've called you to give examples of that, and you failed to do so. What you have instead done was deny the very definition of evolution as being a fact. You would agree, and you have described already how you accept certain aspects of evolution, and not just change within a species. You're talking about changes between species, which means you accept macroevolution as well. I know you defined it as something else because you have to use equivocation. But just because you use the wrong definitions doesn't mean that your definitions are right. It means the
Don't-
scientific community has established what these definitions are, and you don't get to change them just for your audience.
and you don't get to put words in my mouth. I do not believe in macroevolution. By my
But
definition,
you described what you described that you accept. What you said you accept meets the definition that scientists give for what macroevolution is. Microevolution is variation within a species. Macroevolution is variation between species, and this includes speciation, and you accept that speciation happens. So you accept that by definition, the actual, real definition, and not the false one you made up, that you accept what is actually really defined as macroevolution.
you are
Let's make
changing.
sure that Ken has equal time here on, if you can.
That would be
Yeah,
wonderful.
I want to make sure Ken.
Okay.
Please, we're trying to make sure you have equal time. But
Well,
all right, just tell me when
I
to
want
speak. Just
to make
one
sure you
more.
guys are talking about the same things, and I understand both your guys' positions. I've had many conversations with both of you gentlemen. Arn is explaining it from a very scientific and precise way of looking at it. And what he's asking you is for you to define your terms in a way that is from a creationist point of view, and they don't mesh. And I think that's why we're having a communication failure here. When you're talking about speciation, Kent, what do you mean by macroevolution? What do you mean by speciation? How much of it do you accept? Is that something along the lines of what you want to know, Arn, as far as your questioning?
Well,
Is it
that's
okay
where
to go
I
down
don't.
that route?
I don't think anybody's ever given a really hard definition of species. Is a dog and a wolf a different species? Is that the same kind of
I'm
animal?
dead.
Is a dog and a
Dive,
coyote
dive.
and a wolf
Woo!
a different species? Canis
Ah.
Canis domesticus, but they're the same
I'm
kind.
dead.
So yes, I do accept.
That dude's laying down over
happen,
there.
but who is getting-
Oh, fuck,
like
I'm
they-
dead, dude. I'm
they
bleeding. I'm
decided
bleeding
there's a new
out. I'm
species
bleeding
of
out.
finch on the Galapagos Islands now, because one flew over to a different island and crossbred with a different variety of finch. It still produced a bird. It still produced a finch. So because some group of scientists decided to call that a new species, that is not evidence for evolution. That's wishful thinking. That's SpongeBob imagination stuff. I agree.
He's not going to find that key card, though. I hid that key card. I hid the key card. I hid the key card, dude.
I don't know if the 200 species of squirrels are. I think they have the same kind.
Snowdog says, Heretic, with my understanding, is that without an FC, without a freaking clue group, was created by Teen Mom cast member Ashley Siren to oppose KJ. That's true, and I've got Steve admitting that in a screenshot. When the critical thinkers started taking over, Miss Siren left because it was trashy. Well, she also left because I put out my evidence. And what Steve won't tell you is that Ashley Siren's mother loved me. And she has streams where Ashley Siren's mom talks about me, talks about how I stood up to Steve, talked about how I put out evidence that was truthful and exposed the whole story. And Ashley's mother, I would assume, had to talk to her daughter. Ashley's mom's, pretty popular on social media. Ashley's mom talked to her daughter and told her, hey, this dude put out all this evidence and it makes Steve look really fucking bad. And that after that, Ashley Siren left Steve's little fucking shit groups. And when she left, the admin went to the next in line, which happened to be when Steve showed up, the next in line over there. The next in line in that group, when Steve came in, made Steve an administrator. So that's the thing. Like, Ashley Siren has 350 some thousand followers on social media. So Ashley Siren, accurately, you could say that because Ashley Siren set up the group and left, which allowed Steve to gain some type of control over the group, factually, you can say that is why I need painkillers. Do I have painkillers? Put them in the box. I got these painkillers, but I think that's only going to work like once. I'm going to just keep that. Yeah, I just need... Okay, I got one extra. All right. So you get where I'm coming from, right? You guys hear me out. So that's what happened with that group. When Ashley Siren, who is a cast member on Teen Mom with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, the people that followed Ashley Siren on social media did it because they were fans of Teen Mom, looked her up, and followed her. And when Ashley Siren shared the group that she created there, when originally she was also duped by Steve's bullshit, you get what I'm saying? Steve took control of that group and became an admin when most of the other people left once they realized that all the hate against Katie Joy was some fabricated bullshit. There are criticisms of Katie Joy that you could make out there, but while people are throwing all this fucking bullshit hate out there at her, you're not going to get any good criticism to be paid attention to, because nobody's going to want to do the work to try to differentiate what is actual criticism between what is lies that are being made up or narratives that are being pushed. And that's why I keep telling people, make an actual video responding to something that Katie's done. Don't just, try to throw Katie under the bus for obvious fucking reasons, God damn it. Get in there. Okay, the Triton is better than this rig. So this rig's going on me. And I need this in here because, okay, I got to have a spot for an extra. Okay. And I need to turn my air on for a minute because it is burning up in here all of a sudden.
Kind of animal. So, yeah, I think the word species is too flexible. I think the biblical word kind, able to bring forth. So those 200 species of squirrels can probably bring forth babies. The squirrel and a pine tree cannot. They're different kinds. Squirrel and an elephant cannot. Whether squirrel and chipmunk, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll do some research on that, Aaron. I'll get back with you. I don't know about chipmunks, if they're in the same kind or not. Good question. I will definitely work on that. But I think I could demonstrate that a squirrel and a pine tree are not the same kind. And if you choose to believe they got a common ancestor, that is your religion. There's no evidence for that. No evidence at all. That's a religion you believe in, and that's fine. This is America. You can have any religion you want, but you should admit it's a religion and quit calling it science. That's not science.
So the evidence that we have, both genetic and character-based,
Yeah.
that we have these commonalities, and in addition to what we've seen in the fossil record, these are all the facts. And I think you would even agree with this definition of evidence that it is a body of objectively verifiable facts, which are either exclusively, they're positively indicative of or exclusively concordant with one available position over any other. And these would confirm these beyond reasonable doubt. Would you accept that that is the definition of evidence, or that that is a working definition for the purpose of this discussion?
Well, yes, determining what a fact is. You mentioned that the genetic commonality, I think it's a fact, that, but whether that proves a common ancestor or common creator is the question. And you mentioned the fossil record.
You're interrupting him actually at this right now.
Great.
So hang on, Aaron.
Well,
I promise we'll get back to you, but go ahead, Ken.
I'll go back
I
on
want you
you.
to finish your statements because I have been noticed both of you have been interrupting a little bit. So to be fair to everybody, Ken, finish what you're saying and then let Aaron respond, please.
several times he has mentioned that the fossil record is somehow evidence to support his theory that they have a common ancestor. I would contend there is no such thing as a fossil record. There are bones in the dirt indicating they died, but why would you think a bone from the dirt could do something which no animal today could do, which is produce something? If you find squirrel fossils in the dirt, you're going to say this is a squirrel, and it produced squirrels. That's all they produce today. But yet you think a bone in the dirt is capable of doing something no animal today can do, which is...
No, he doesn't. He thinks that over a period of time, these animals end up adapting to the environment they're in, because the ones that are born, they're born in high numbers, and as the ones that are born that can survive the area better live longer, reproduce more, and pass their genes on better than other animals do. Now, this creates a problem. It means that all the different things that are passed on are going to have something to do with survival, mating, things like that, right? But you get, yeah, you get his drift.
Just produce something other than its fundamentally 5th grade or 5-year-old level kind of animal.
Once again, because of the law of monophyly, I clearly do not believe that anything ever becomes not what its ancestors were. I've explained this repeatedly. So I do not believe that. Hybridization, by the way, a finch crossing over to another island and then hybridizing with other finches is not speciation. It can be, but it's very, very limited. It very, very limited. The vast majority of speciation events are just build-ups of genetic diversity. We have 4 different types of speciation that are now logged, and hybridization doesn't even account for any of these 4. So these are just build-ups of genetic diversity in different isolated groups, or even emerging within a same group.
Okay, well, let me ask you a simple question then. Does this buildup of genetic diversity have any limits? Is it,
what limits would you propose? What limits might you be thinking of?
Okay, let's take limits on size as an example. Is there any do you believe there's a limit to the size of dogs? Is it possible for dogs to ever become as big as a blue whale? There are animals as big as a blue whale, like the blue whale. So is it possible for an animal, is there a limit on size? Could you get a dog as big as Texas?
Godzilla is not possible, for example.
Very good, very good. So there are limits to this variation.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, so there are what you're telling me is that there are structural limits imposed by gravity, but not actually by biodiversity. So there's no limit to biodiversity that you've yet given, only structural limitations according to physics, perhaps.
Well, no, okay, well, correct. Now, why don't we get dogs as big as elephants? Because
of structural difficulties. When they exceed 200 pounds, they are beyond their ability to withstand to grow any larger because of the structure they already have. They have to adapt a more improved structure in order to exceed that size. And the same thing goes with the
Heard Britters left, helped bring it back in cage. They actually got pissed. He was done with the grip, wasn't fighting Britters, battle left. Well, yeah, you could say there's a lot of excuses out there. I can only tell you what I was told and what I know, so you got to compare the 2 reasons. Which makes more sense? A drama excuse or a logical one?
The reason the dinosaurs were so big was because they had a system already built in that allowed that to happen without a backlash.
Maybe one day we'll find out and she'll like come out and talk about it. Well, maybe one time we'll see. Where the fuck am I, dude?
Powerful than we are. So that dinosaurs and mammals of equal mass, the dinosaur will excel because it'll be lighter and faster and stronger.
Well, you said the dog is limited and can't become as big as an elephant. There are No, there are animals as big as an elephant. It's called an elephant.
There are animals
then
that are as
why-
big as an elephant, but they have
Well, then-
to, as I just said, and I'm going to have to repeat again, the
Oh,
dog
yeah.
would then have to have a new adaptation to account for the larger size, because we also know bears come from dogs, and bears they don't come from dogs, they come from the common ancestor, but bears are genetically linked to dogs, and bears have excessive size. They don't have the digigrade gait and the hyper speed that dogs have, different derivations from the commonality.
Well, in your religion, they're different.
They're not. It's not a religion because it's not faith-based, and it's not a belief system. And it
Nobody's
doesn't
ever seen a
require.
bear.
It doesn't require belief. It doesn't teach belief. It discourages belief in favor of critical analysis and peer review.
Okay, well, Aaron, bears produce bears, dogs produce dogs. You say they came from a common ancestor. That is a belief. We never observed
Why is it
that.
a belief to see a genetic link? If you've got evidence that shows the genetics are there, that dogs and bears and seals and mustelids are all canoidean carnivores, and they're all genetically linked. If you can do a parental test using the genetics, the same as you say a Maury Povich, you are the father. Show the genetic link. There is the evidence, not faith like you have, not just going on a book of old fables like you have. We have actual genetic evidence to confirm this.
So you have genetic evidence that a dog and a bear are related, and what is
Yes.
that evidence exactly? Because they have similar
I just
DNA.
told you.
No, you didn't.
It's
You
genetic.
said no. You said there's the word genetics is not. I want to be specific. What exactly makes you think that something was the father? You are the father of the bear and the dog. What exactly makes you think that? What part of the DNA structure? Is it the number of chromosomes? Is it the length of the chromosomes? Is it
That's
the arrangement
funny.
of CATG? Exactly what is this evidence that you're saying? You're claiming is evidence for this this ancestry, the parental aspect of the ancestor of dog and wolf. Or
You
dog
are
and,
the
and bear.
father,
I explained
bear.
this in a series where I explained this in a video called Caniform Carnivore Cladogram Construction. I like alliteration. I can't help it. And there's a backup to this. It also covers the cat side of the family tree. And these are in a series of videos, a five video series called Falsifying Phylogeny, which explains a number of other evolutionary principles, including the evolutionary laws that I just mentioned.
Well, can you just give me a 2-minute
Oh,
summary?
we have a quest. We got to go here.
It is, as I just explained, and I'm repeating the explanation again. It's just like doing a parental test where you're matching the commonality to see whether this person is the father or that person is the father. You're just extrapolating further back.
We got to find that signal source. I know where it is. I know where it is.
Again. Maybe you'll get it this time. What exactly are you looking at?
Let's go. We're probably gonna die just trying, but let's go. We don't have a lot we can lose, so let's go.
Maybe you will be the one to get it this time, as I had it since the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are just like a parental paternity test, where you're using a genetic matchup, right? Codon for codon, right? You're looking for the commonality between these genetic lines, genetic lineages. You're also looking at wherever they're applicable ERVs and such. Whatever, I can't remember the other term, whatever other commonalities take factor in genetic comparison. You're doing a genome sequence comparison to identify the ancestry, just like you would trace whether, you are Danish in ancestry or Jamaican or what have you. It's the same concept.
So you're saying someone did a genome sequencing of a dog and a bear and found out that they have a common ancestor based
Not
on
just
ERV?
someone, lots of people. Because the thing about science is that it has to be peer reviewed, which means that somebody does
repeatable.
these tests and say, okay, I did these tests, and then other people have to go back and duplicate those tests and confirm that they get similar results, or they can confirm that this is what actually happens.
So you mentioned we should start with no belief whatsoever and just look at the evidence. Let's
Right.
assume that we do study the bear and the dog and find out they have similar ERVs, they have similar genetic sequences. What then would you conclude from that? Would you consider the possibility that maybe the same author wrote the code?
The possibility, key word. Once again, I repeat, and I have to do that a lot here, that in order to establish whether there is a possibility, we have to show a precedent or a parallel or a verified phenomenon indicating that that possibility exists. And we have had, by your own admission, we have had speciation occur. We have seen evolution happening in real time. Not just in the fossil record, but also in the lab, live. So we know it occurs. And then we look at the characters of the simple physical characteristics. wild. What the hell? You look between the description of bears and of dogs, and then we look in the fossil record. We also find bear dogs and dog bears. Literally, seriously. We find things, bear dogs and dog bears, both. And then we have common ancestors basal to each that would, their physiology looks a little bit more like a Wolverine. But basically it's the common ancestor where it's still plantigrade, still like a dog, or it's still plantigrade like a bear, but still has a long tail like a dog.
Okay.
So we have a number of different facts. We have a body of different types of evidence, different bodies of evidence that all concord with each other. And you want me to consider the possibility, as yet unestablished, that a magic imaginary man went poof.
All right, so let's try to get this a little back on track a little bit. So Arn, you're saying there's a consilience of all these different branches of not just genetics, not just codons, not just ERVs, but comparative homologies and anatomy and a whole bunch of different other things. And Kent's basically saying, forget all that. There's a probability or possibility that it could be a common design. That's
exactly.
Basically
so in the
balance
description where he asked for my two items of evidence for or my two best examples of evidence for evolution, I gave phylogenetics, which I've been trying to explain.
We're gonna die just going in here. I hope you guys know.
But he doesn't understand that is what he's explaining. And then the other thing, which is that we actually know things to be true, demonstrably, verifiably true about evolution, where nobody knows anything at all about any magic imaginary designer. There is no literally no possibility to consider, because he can't even show me a kind, which would have to be the most basic thing any creationist should cough up at the onset before we even talk about this. If you want to talk about all animals being created, you'd have to show me which ones are the ones that are created. If you're going to accept that some degree of phylogeny applies, where's the cutoff point? That's what I'm asking. That's what the phylogeny challenge is.
Yeah, make sure Kent is able to address this specifically and give people time on this. So Kent, he's kind of asking you, what was the original kind as compared to what we know to be speciation events? So you're agreeing that speciation occurs. So can you differentiate between, for us, what
we got to get on top of the roof of the one on the left
to the original created kinds that were not derivated from some kind of original other species? So what are the original kinds that you're suggesting exist that supersede all the evidences that Arn is providing for us? And we'll give you plenty of time to speak on this. So Arn, let him actually go on this, please.
Thank you. I think I've answered it 5 or 6 times, but if they're able to bring forth, according to Genesis chapter 1, they're the same kind.
West.
Now, have they diversified?
Looks like the roof. You get access to the roof and you just run over there.
I don't use that word species very often because it's a flexible term. I think a dog and a wolf are different species, as I mentioned, yet they're the same kind of animal. There are 200 species of squirrels. They're probably the same kind of animal. There are 1,100 species of bats. They're probably the same kind of animal, called a bat. But if you want to look at the similarities, I have in front of me an article from, let's see, where was this published? Farm and Garden magazine, Monday, August 15, 2005, about they deciphered the DNA of rice. And they said fruit flies have 13,600 genes in their DNA code. The humans have 20 to 25,000 genes. Rice has 37,544, and maize has 50,000. So we could make a phylogenetic tree, and if we live long enough, we're all going to be turned into maize, and the cows can eat us here. So I think it's obvious that rice and humans and flies are different kinds. And there's a place called baraminology.com from the Hebrew word baramin, about kind, that is so far as I think they've said there are probably about 7,000 or 8,000 kinds of animals on land that breathe air. This would not include insects or fish that didn't have to go on the ark. About 7,000 kinds of animals probably went on Noah's ark. Some say even less than that, but I don't know. Let's just pick that number and say 7,000 to 8,000 is a reasonable number of kinds of original animals that had to come off the ark. A fish would do just fine in the flood.
Fuck. We're fucked.
I think that
we are fucking
everybody
fucked.
should recognize that they're limited. I don't know exactly where the limit is.
How do I get in this fucking hole,
Can they
dude?
become as big as an elephant? No. But there are elephants that are
We're running. We're running.
And they certainly can't become as big as Texas.
We're just going to go crazy and run straight for it. We're probably going to die, but we're going to try.
There are physical limits because of bone structure, etc., or the percentage of oxygen in the air. Obviously, there were gigantic insects on this planet. I mean, 52-inch dragonfly fossils have been found. If you want to talk about the fossil record, They talk about 2-foot grasshoppers that
Oh,
couldn't
no.
survive. They couldn't breathe today because they
We got to get on
spherical
that side.
in their skin. They don't have a lung
Fuck.
system like we do. So we could talk about fossils if you'd like. I have quite a large collection.
That's what
of
we need to
fossils.
do. We need
I
to
think
get
all
near
the
that.
Fossils indicate something was very different on this planet, and I would take this to be before the flood came. And all the fossils, nearly all the fossils, probably formed because of one big flood event. So my definition of kind, and he keeps intermixing the word
Damn it.
species. And please
Okay,
don't
we
do
got to
that.
get down.
If they can bring forth, they're the
We're gonna
same
have to go down
kind.
the way
There's
we
one kind
came
of
up.
animal called a
Fuck.
squirrel.
Wait.
There are now 200 species of squirrels. There's one kind of animal called a bat. There are now 1,100 species of bats. There are 13 species of, I think it was 13
Oh, dude, yeah.
species
If
of
I jump,
panther.
I'll die. We got to
Okay,
get on
but
the
there's
other
still a
roof.
cat. There's
Fuck.
still the same kind of animal, and they probably came from a common ancestor. So I would say he has not demonstrated at all that there is any scientific evidence that a bat and a pine tree and an elephant and a squirrel are
All
related.
right, I have a feeling we're
other
going to
than
die.
having
I'm going to
similar
take my
DNA, which could
expensive
just
ass
as well
side
be
off
the
of this
DNA
right now.
code, the same author. If you look at all the books Mark Twain wrote, you'll notice excuse me, thousands of similarities.
Just to get
because they have
ready
the
for
same
death
author.
here.
If you look at all the books in the world that are written in English, you will notice all of them use the same 26 letters. Wow.
All right, yeah, we got
What
a
does
good
that
site.
prove? That
That
the
site
books wrote
works.
themselves, or that's the code? The code with which
Wait,
you
is
write
that a
English
door?
is the 26 letters of the alphabet, and the code with which DNA is written is the same because we have the same author of this code, and his name is God, not some man. This is God himself, who will be the judge one day. So I'm trying to answer the question. He keeps asking it over different, but I think I have answered. I apologize. The law of monophilia that he keeps talking about is that they are always going to produce the same kind of offspring, and I agree. But yet he thinks a pine tree and an elephant have an ancestor. Therefore, somewhere along the line, that law didn't work.
Maybe we can make our money back out of this run by looting a little bit.
That's kind of involved in that there, Ken.
Regardless if we die, if I got some good loot, we can make money. Let's try to grab some money and we'll try to get down there.
One time mixed kind with species, though you repeatedly have, and I have cautioned you against that. You ramble on about irrelevant ideas you don't understand, but you obviously have not answered my question once. Now, I will paraphrase that for you in a moment. But I first want to know the answer to the question I just asked. Where did that law not work? I mean, so we have according to one possibility that we actually know is a possibility, and the other one is not a possibility. We have an evolutionary possibility, and we have a common ancestor that is a single-celled eukaryote. Now, the first plants were also single-celled. The definition of mammal is when those cells combine into multicellular.